Hello everyone, this is part 14 of What If Naruto was banished and becomes Raikage, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to see more comment down. So Orochimaru, even after all this time, you still foolishly wish to destroy the leaf, said Sarutobi sadly as he looked to his fallen student. Naturally sensei, but I have not summoned you here to destroy Konoha, despite how delicious the irony would be, to have Konoha's four greatest heroes and leaders destroy it, I have summoned you here to kill him. Said Orochimaru with a smirk, as he indicated to the person who stood in front of them, and who the Yondaime Hokage had been silently staring at with widened eyes. Minato. BBBU how? Cried the revived younger Sandaime Hokage in surprise as he looked at the Yondaime next to him and the Minato, in front of him, who looked slightly different from Minato he knew and was next to him. It was in that moment then that Naruto spoke, "Hello, father." With Naruto. When the observing group saw the four former Hokages of Konoha being revived by Orochimaru, many were angered at the fact that Orochimaru was once again using their leaders as his paws to destroy Konoha. "Damn you, Orochimaru!" cried an angry Jiraiya. "Curse you wretched soul Orochimaru!" cried Tsunade as saw her grandfather and great-uncle being brought back as emotionless weapons. "Kukukukuku, what's wrong Jiraiya-kun? I thought you would be happy to see Sensei and your old student again, and I thought you'd be equally as happy to see not only Sensei, but also your grandfather and great-uncle, Tsunade." Spoke Orochimaru as he enjoyed the angry looks on his former teammates' faces. "You bastard!" cried Konohamaru with rage, as he glared at the former Sannin with as much hate as possible. During this, Minato and Naruto just stared at one another silently and did not say a word, but soon after though, Naruto spoke. "Got nothing to say. Naruto, my son. Don't you dare call me that, you lost all right to call me that, the moment you placed this curse on me," hissed Naruto angrily as he glared at his so-called father. The Yondaime was of course caught off guard at hearing Naruto's hateful response, although not as surprised as the Sandaime was when he heard the Minato next to him call the person he thought was Minato in front of him son and said person called Minato father. It was when he heard this that he realized that the Minato in front of him was actually Naruto. "Naruto," spoke the former Hokage's surprise. "Long time no see Gigi," replied Naruto with a sneer. As Minato stared in surprise at Naruto, he then noticed the Kumo headband on Naruto's right arm. "Naruto, why do you wear a Kumo headband?" At this question Naruto did not answer, as he remained silent, although the four Hokages' attention quickly turned to Orochimaru, who was behind him and was now laughing. "Kukukukukuku, I guess you wouldn't know what happened the past few years, with the fact that you being dead and all," spoke the Snake Sannin. "What do you mean by that Orochimaru?" asked Minato with a frown as he turned to look at his sensei's former teammate. "While quite simply Minato-kun, your son Naruto-kun suffered the same fate that all Jinchurikis suffer, he was scorned, hated, spat on and became the village's pariah and what more they beat him," said the former Sannin, as he enjoyed watching the pained look of sorrow and horror appear on the former Hokage's face, when he heard this and then turned to the Sandaime. "Is what he said true Sarutobi?" asked the Yondaime hoping it wasn't, and that it was some sort of cruel lie made up by Orochimaru, although deep down he knew it was true. At this the Sandaime lowered his head in shame, unable to look at his former successor in the face. "It's true, I was unable to convince the people that Naruto was not a demon as the pain and loss they suffered was too strong. I was also unable to protect him from their wrath as well as I should have," spoke the Sandaime, as Naruto's hard life was another one of his great failings second only to not killing Orochimaru, when he first had the chance, years ago. "But that is not the most interesting thing in Naruto-kun's story," continued Orochimaru with some glee. "For you see even though the village beat him and scorned him for having the Kyuubi sealed into him, he remained loyal to the village and wanted to prove the village wrong and prove he was not a demon. He even tried to follow in your footsteps and become Hokage and protect the village. He even learned to master Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, multiple Shadow Clone Technique, in just a few hours. But yet he was still hated and scorned by the village. He was even ignored and left aside for his more talented teammate by your own prized student Hitaki Kakashi, when he was training him," spoke Orochimaru, which caused the nearby copy Nin to lower his head in shame. Even after Naruto-kun helped him defeat Momoki Zabuza, the famed Kirigakure no Kijin, demon of the hidden mist, he was still ignored by him. He was also still scorned when he foiled my plan to destroy the leaf by defeating the now current Godime Kazekage Gaara, who is the Jinchuriki of the Ichibi no Shukaku, one-tailed Shukaku, by summoning that overgrown toad, Gamabunta. Even my old teammate Jiraiya-kun didn't seem care enough about your son to go to him and care for him when you died, let alone even visit, at least not for 12 years, as he was too busy chasing me, said Orochimaru with glee. As he enjoyed seeing the angry look aimed at him by former teammate Face, while at the same time seeing the self-loathing look, as it was obvious that on more than one occasion Jiraiya had cursed himself to lowest pits of hell for not even trying to raise Naruto when he was alone. He also helped foil my plans again, to have Tsunade heal my arms after my battle with Sarutobi-sensei, where he surprised even me. By learning how to master the Rasengan spiraling sphere in just 1 week, spoke Orochimaru, surprising both Minato and Sarutobi when they heard this. He was also able to convince Tsunade to return to village and become the new Hokage, and after which helped save several nations and became a hero to them. He even foiled my attempt to have Sasuke-kun join me, by defeating him and bringing back to Konoha. But even after everything he did for them, they'd still scorned and hated him, where later on they banished him. Cried Orochimaru with laughter as he saw the disbelief looks on the Yondaime and Sandaime faces, where he turned a bit to look at Minato. And even more delicious, the vote that decided his banishment came from one of your old friends, Hyuga Hiashi. Upon hearing all this, the Yondaime quickly turned to the observing group and looked directly at his former sensei, student and friend, which caused all three men to filch. As when they looked into the Yondaime's eyes, they were filled with anger, disgust, disappointment and shame and were directed at him, where all three men felt like they had been stabbed and gutted like fish with a dull rusty kunai. Even the Sandaime, the Nadaime and the Shodaime looked gravely disappointed in hearing how the village banished Naruto over their hatred of the Kyuubi. But that isn't the best part. Spoke a smiling Orochimaru, as during the next 10 years after they banished him, Naruto-kun found new senseis where they trained him, and at some point, he somehow gained the lost bloodline of the Stormcallers, the Ranba-Ka limit, Stormbreaker limit, said Orochimaru, shocking the 4 former Hokages, at Naruto awaking the lost legendary bloodline of the Stormcallers clan. He then later on ended the civil war in Kumo and Kaminari no Kuni, Lightning Country, and became the Rokudaime Raikage and became known as the legendary Kami no Raiden, god of thunder and lightning. Where he then rebuilt the village calling it New Kumo and helped rebuild Kaminari no Kuni, said Orochimaru, and continued. He even did what you tried and failed to do, sensei, as he formed an alliance of nations, that worked together and helped one another and called it the Heavenly Alliance, and made it into the most powerful force in the entire elemental continent. When the Sandaime heard this, a small twig of pride was felt by the former Sandaime Hokage, as could not help but be proud of Naruto, as he had tried and failed to create an alliance between the 5 great shinobi nations, in the hopes of creating a lasting peace, but where had failed Naruto had succeeded. Also, young Naruto-kun here has become quite powerful over these past 10 years, as his power has even exceeded my own, where he defeated my allies the Yodaime Tsuchikage Ryoku, the Godaime Mizukage Shiro. Along with the leader of Kusugakure, Hidden Grass, Doku, and the leader of the Hanya clan Shinran, and did it all by himself with little trouble and forced me to summon you all, spoke Orochimaru, which surprised the revived Hokages at how powerful Naruto has become. It's all rather amusing and ironic if you think about it, as the person that Konoha scorned and banished, has now probably become the strongest shinobi alive and rebuilt a fallen ruined nation and made it into the most powerful force in the entire elemental continent, spoke the Snake Sannin. As despite his situation with Naruto, he wanted to at least have a little fun at Konoha's expense. After hearing all this, the 4 former Hokages stared at Naruto for a few moments, after which the Yondaime finally spoke up. Naruto, I'm truly sorry for what happened to you. Upon hearing the Yondaime, Naruto narrowed his eyes anger at his father. You're sorry? Is that all you can say, after the hell you put me through? Cried Naruto furiously. Do you know what kind of life I've had because you put the Kyuubi into me? Spoke Naruto with a look of the utmost fury and rage. Because of you I've been spat on, ignored, scorned, beaten, cursed and have been nearly killed for most of my life. I've even tried to end my own life just to try and escape the pain of it all. I've had to go through 12 years of utter hell because of your idolism. At hearing this, the Yondaime lowered his head in sadness at what his son had to go through. You're right, saying I'm sorry does not make up for what you had to go through because of what I did to you, but I honestly hoped that the village would honor my request. I also couldn't simply turn my back on Konoha when it was in danger, as it would be no better than turning my back on you. The only way to stop the Kyuubi was to seal it into you, so that you could use its power to protect it. That may be what you told yourself and my mother when you took me from her as she lay dying, but you and I both know that there is more to it than just that. You forget that I'm a Kage now as well, and I know about that little tradition, where the Jinchuriki of any Biju for any village must be of close relation to the current ruling Kage or ruling clan. So to ensure that the Jinchuriki remains loyal to said ruler and will not go rogue on the village, as well as serve to show off the Kage's might, sneered Naruto. This revelation of course surprised the younger members of the observing group, as they were unaware of this, but as they thought about it, it did make sense. But even despite that, I might have forgiven you for what you did to me. Especially if you didn't know how I would be treated in Konoha, but you did know what would most likely happen to me. As I read the letter you left me and you still did it, you could have had me sent to live outside the village, and be raised as a normal person, but you didn't, all because you wanted to make me into Konoha Grand Protector and because you couldn't face the fact that the people of Konoha would be like the other villages and turn on me, hence I had to pay the price for your mistake. Spoke Naruto as he glared coldly at the Yondaime. Son, I know, said Minato as he tried to talk to his son, but was stopped by Naruto. I told you not to call me that. You're not my father. You will never be my father. Fathers are supposed to raise their children, fathers are supposed to care for their children, fathers are supposed to teach their children, fathers are supposed to protect their children. You did none of that. All you did for me was place this curse of me and left me to the mercy of wolves. Iruka-sensei was more of a father to me than you'll ever be to me. You couldn't even leave me in the care of a decent person, as you left me in the care of that worthless toad of a sensei of yours. Who cares more about that snake and his own trashy porno books than me, his own godson? As far as I'm concerned, all that you're to me is some bastard that supplied the sperm. Cried Naruto hatefully. After hearing Naruto's thoughts on him, Jiraiya lowered his head in self-loathing, as he knew Naruto was right, as he was a worthless godfather to him, which was yet another one of his great failings in life. Also, when he heard Naruto's feelings towards Minato, for the first time in his life, he was glad that his former student was dead, as he was certain, judging by the look that was now on his face, Minato would have died at that very moment from a broken heart after hearing that. When Sarutobi heard all this, he decided to intervene, as he could see how hurt Minato was by Naruto's response and wanted to have Naruto at least understand from Minato's point of view. Naruto, I know you're angry over what happened to you, but you've to understand that, spoke Sarutobi, but before he could finish, Naruto spoke again. I understand everything perfectly, Sarutobi, spat out Naruto, shocking most people, as Naruto had always called the Sandaime Jiji grandfather, since Naruto looked up to him in that way. You're just as guilty as he is, said Naruto angrily, as he glared his former grandfather figure. You knew that I had a fortune that rightfully belonged to me, yet you had me live like a beggar, having to scrimp and save any small amount of money that I could get, just to feed and clothe myself. You knew who my parents were, yet you lied right to my face about knowing them, knowing full well how much, just knowing my parents' names meant to me. At this the Sandaime lowered his head in shame, as he had hated lying to Naruto, but at the time he feared what would happen if Naruto's true heritage was leaked out. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I hid it because I feared that if I told you, you might accidentally let it slip to other people and it would leak outside the village, where your father's enemies like Ryoku would come after you in revenge. I thought it best to wait till you're ready to know the truth, said the Sandaime. And when was that? When I was beaten and lay dying after one of the village's attacks, or when I figured it out myself? The fact that when I learned about the Kyuubi and I knew to keep it secret, should have proven that I could keep the news, that I was the Yondaime's son, a secret as well. At the very least you could have told me about my mother, as you gave me her last name and it wouldn't have put me in danger of Namika's enemies, replied Naruto furiously, where all the Sandaime could do was lower his head in shame, knowing that Naruto was right. For the next few minutes there was silence between the two sides, where the sounds were the explosions and fighting around the village and the howling wind and the cracking thunder of the storm that was still raging, due to Naruto's anger towards his father and the Sandaime. It seems that our village has done a great injustice to this boy, brother, spoke the Nadaime Hokage suddenly. Indeed, this is not the village I envisioned and had created. Konoha has truly fallen in a way I did not think possible, spoke the Shodaime in disappointment at hearing what Konoha's people had done to Naruto. Naturally, when Tsunade heard this, she could not help but feel ashamed at how she failed her grandfather and great uncle, and for not trying harder to keep Konoha the way that her grandfather had wanted it to be. Even the Sandaime lowered his head in shame, as he knew he played a large part in the way that Konoha had now become, and blamed himself for allowing those like Danzo and others to operate behind his back and for not trying harder to make Naruto's life better. As all this was going on, Orochimaru was watching it, as if this was his delightful play being unfolded, full of drama, anguish and confrontation. He himself had been surprised at the way Naruto felt towards his father and the Sandaime, but greatly enjoyed at how much pain it caused him along with those watching, but still he knew that playtime was over now and it was time to get serious and end Naruto here and now. As much as I'm enjoying this little show, it's time we get back to the matter at hand, spoke Orochimaru suddenly. For once, I agree with Snake Team over there, as I said my piece and it's time to finish this. Spoke Naruto seriously, where he then drew out Raijin and the Sword of Tengu, shocking the 4 former Hokages, especially the Nadaime. The Sword of the Tengu, it seems you are indeed worthy of being called the Raikage of Kumo, spoke the Nadaime, also it seems that you've manipulated the Raijin to take on a new shape, impressive. Naruto was of course not surprised that the Nadaime recognized Tengu, as it was the sword that killed him long ago. He also said nothing to the Nadaime's praise, but did nod in acknowledgement to it. After which though, Orochimaru quickly placed his improved control seals into the 4 Hokages, where they could still think and speak, but still had to follow Orochimaru's orders and still had no free will. With the observing group. When she saw this, Tsunade quickly turned to Zhuge Liang and the others, aren't any of you going down there to help him? Aren't you his bodyguards? Aren't you going to protect him? No, we're not, replied Zhuge Liang simply, as he stared down at Naruto and his new opponents. Why the hell not? Cried Tsunade in disbelief. It's because we were ordered not to by the Raikage, replied Okatsu. Why on earth would Naruto order you not to help him? Asked Sakura, as it made no sense to her. It's because he wants to fight the Hokages on his own, answered Yugito with a slight frown, as she stared down at Naruto. He wanted this. But why? Asked Yamato in surprise, as he couldn't see why Naruto would want to fight all 4 Hokages by himself. Sure, maybe the Sandaime and the Yondaime considering how he feels towards them, but not the Nadaime and the Shodaime. It's because it's his dream, answered Zhuge Liang, where after seeing the confused looks on most of the people's faces he continued with his explanation. You see, when Naruto was banished from Konoha, his dream of being Hokage died that day, but in a way it still lingered. Where he accomplished that dream in another way, by becoming the Rokudaime Raikage of New Kumo, but even still it was only in one part. What do you mean I don't get it? Sure, I get the part that Naruto wanted to be Hokage, but like you said he still sort of achieved it by becoming Raikage, which he stated was better than being Hokage, spoke Kiba as he didn't understand what Zhuge Liang meant. What I mean is that Naruto's dream was not only to become Hokage, but also to surpass all the previous Hokages, and to be the strongest of them all, answered Zhuge Liang. But he already did that. He defeated the Tsuchikage, the Mizukage and the other leaders of the coalition, not to mention all the other stuff he did at Wave and during your civil war. None of the other Hokages could do the things he did, not even the Yondaime, said Ino. Maybe so, but to Naruto that isn't enough. He wants to fight all the previous Hokages by himself and defeated them, thereby proving to himself that he has surpassed all the Hokages. As this is the closest he will ever truly get to truly achieving his dream, at surpassing the Hokages, answered Zhuge Liang. You mean Naruto knew he would be fighting the Hokages, spoke Neji in surprise. Yes. But how? Asked Neji in confusion. The Raikage could have ended this battle long ago, but did not because he wanted to back Orochimaru into a corner and force him to revive the Hokages. As he knew that once Orochimaru was cornered he would use the Edo Tensei, Impure World Resurrection, to bring back the 4 Hokages in the hope of defeating Naruto. The Raikage easily could have destroyed all 4 coffins when they were being summoned as well, but did not, since as I said, he wanted the 4 Hokages revived so to fight them. But that's insane, cried Jiraiya, as with the Edo Tensei, the Hokages' bodies regenerate instantly and don't feel any pain or get tired, they're impossible to kill by normal means. Sarutobi-sensei had to use Shikifujin, dead demon-consuming seal, to remove their souls to kill them, and doing that killed him. There's no way that Naruto can win in a battle like that. Maybe so, but that was the Raikage's choice, and we'll obey his orders and will not interfere or let anyone else interfere with his battle, unless he is about to be killed, spoke Fu. But you see, spoke Jiraiya, but before he could finish, Yugito interrupted him. Don't you think this is hard on us as well? Don't you think all of us here want nothing more than to go down there and help him? Rounded Yugito angrily, where the others could clearly see her hand shaking in a tight fist, due to the frustration of not being able to help her husband. The Konoha and Suna group could also see similar looks and signs of frustration on the other members of the new Kumo group, showing clearly that they all felt the same way, and wanted to go down and help their Kage. You all say that you care about Naruto and that he is your friend, then start acting like his friends and stop doubting him and believe that he can win, like we do, said Yugito, after which she then went back to watching Naruto, as he faced his enemies. At this most Konoha group closed their eyes in shame, as they knew that Yugito was right, as for most part of this battle they had doubted Naruto, when they should have been believed in him. As troublesome as it is to say this, but it's kind of selfish of Naruto to ask all of you to stay out of this and just watch, as well as to manipulate Orochimaru to summon the 4 Hokages for him, just so that he can prove his strength and power to himself, spoke Shikamaru. Perhaps, but we owe him that much, after everything he's done for us, answered Yugito, with a slight frown, as she still didn't like this. Come on, brat, and do what you do best, beat the odds, thought Tsunade. Don't you dare lose, kid, thought Jiraiya. Come on, Nissan, I know you can win, thought Konohamaru. I believe in you, Naruto-kun, thought Hinata. With Naruto, enter Naruto Shippuden OST emergence of talents, Hyakuren extended. For a moment or two Naruto, the 4 revived Hokages along with Orochimaru and Kabuto stared at one another without even moving, but quickly the moment ended and Naruto twirled his swords in his hand and fell into a dual sword stance, where he had Raijin in his left hand, which was stretched out and pointed it at his opponents, while Tengu was in his right hand and held over his head, and pointed at his opponents as well. The Shodaime quickly used his Mokuton powers to create a long wooden bow and quickly gave it to the Sandaime, who in turn, quickly twirled it around in his hands and fell into a Bojutsu stance. Next the Nadaime quickly used the Suten, Mizu no Kenjutsu water style, water sword technique to create a water sword, where he then fell into a sword stance. After that Kabuto activated his Chakra no Mesu chakra scalpel, and then fell into a fighting stance. Orochimaru quickly called back Kusanagi no Tsurugi sword of Kusanagi, which flew directly into his hand, where he then fell into his own sword stance. The Yondaime quickly took out a pair of his own special space-time kunais and then fell into a loose fighting stance, with his kunais in reverse knife grips. Finally the Shodaime fell into a taijutsu fighting stance, where for another moment or so, the two sides stared at one another not moving, but after a few seconds of staring at each other the two sides rushed forward at one another and began their battle with the observing group. For the next few minutes the Tsunade and the others watched as Naruto fought against Orochimaru, Kabuto and the 4 revived Hokages. Despite the odds he was up against, Naruto was more than able to hold his own, where the fight was about even, where Orochimaru and the others tried to overwhelm Naruto by attacking him from different directions all at once. But each time Naruto was able to hold them off and push them back, with little harm to himself. The brat is holding his own well, right now, but I still don't like that we're sitting back here watching it, said Jiraiya with annoyance as he never liked being stuck on the sidelines in a battle. No kiddin', yo, spoke Killer Bee as he didn't like it much either, but he knew when to obey orders, even if he didn't like them. Although I too share such feelings, we still should be grateful and in a way honored to be watching this, spoke Zhuge, who wasn't taking his eyes off the battle before him as he spoke. At this nearly everyone turned to Zhuge like he was crazy or something. What do you mean we should consider ourselves honored? Asked Kankuro. What I mean is that we should be honored that we to be able to witness an event like this, replied Zhuge, where when he saw the confused looks on most people's faces he continued. You see, we're witnessing history in the making, which is something that few people are allowed to see with their own eyes in their lifetimes, where future generations from now will only be able to learn of this from books, scrolls and stories from their parents. As this battle will decide the fate of the elemental continent, where if Naruto wins he will not only assert himself as the strongest Kage in the shinobi world, but will also solidify the Heavenly Alliance power throughout the continent, where it'll be acknowledged as the major power by all nations, where the unification of the elemental continent will be only a matter of time. But should Orochimaru win and kill Naruto, then the Heavenly Alliance will be dealt a severe blow, which would very likely encourage other shinobi villages to join him and escalate this war even further beyond any of the previous great shinobi world wars, where many more lives would be lost. At this many of the others were surprised, as they could not believe that this one battle could decided so much for so many people, after which everyone started to pay even closer attention to Naruto's battle with Naruto. As Naruto fought his opponents, who had surrounded him, he stabbed Raikage into the ground and sent a powerful burst of lightning chakra into the ground, causing a massive explosion around him that blasted Orochimaru, Kabuto and the revived Hokages away from him. Quickly Naruto then used his Raipo lightning step to disappear in a blue flash and then reappear in front of Kabuto as he flew in midair, and was too surprised by Naruto's sudden appearance to try and avoid or block Naruto's oncoming attack. Upon appearing in front of Kabuto, Naruto then kneed him in the gut and then sent him flying into a nearby wall, causing a large dent in it. Naruto quickly then disappeared and reappeared behind Orochimaru, who was on his knees and had just stopped skidding on the ground and was regaining his footing, where he then caught a glimmer of light from the corner of his eye. When he turned his head around slightly, Orochimaru saw Naruto about to chop off his head from behind with Tengu. But before Naruto could complete his swing, a powerful water jutsu from the Nadaime was fired from his right-hand side, forcing Naruto to shunch and body flicker away. As soon as Naruto reappeared in his new location, the Yondaime appeared right in front of him and punched him right in the face. Fortunately though, despite being punched, Naruto was able to keep his senses. Where after being hit, Naruto dropped both his swords and then grabbed his father's wrist and twisted it, and the flipped sideways, and preformed a jumping scissors lock, with the Yondaime's head between his head. After which Naruto flipped him forward and sent him fly several feet away, where before the Yondaime could even hit the ground Naruto appeared above him in midair, and smashed his elbow that was lightning enhanced right into the Yondaime's stomach, and slamming him into the ground causing a massive dent. Naruto then quickly called Tengu to him, same way that Orochimaru calls Kusanagi no Tsurugi, where he then prepared to sever the revived Yondaime's head. But before he could, several wooden spikes from the Shodaime were fired at Naruto from behind, but just as they hit him, Naruto turned into a large piece of rubble, revealing that he had used a Kawarimi no Jutsu body replacement technique to avoid the wooden spikes. Naruto then reappeared to where he had dropped Raikage, where he then picked it up and quickly twirled around, as he sensed the Nadaime Hokage coming up behind him, to try and slash his back with his Mizu no Ken. When Naruto twirled around to face the Nadaime, he quickly raised the Raikage and blocked the water sword, after which Naruto then charged Tengu up and cut the Nadaime from his lower body. But after cutting the Nadaime into two, Naruto was then kicked from behind, sending him flying forward. Fortunately though, he did a mid-air forward flip, so that he was now facing his attacker, who Naruto quickly learned was the now revived and younger Sandaime Hokage, who then did a double foot kick at Naruto, who quickly charged chakra to his feet to help stand his ground and block the foot kick with his arm and pushed the Sandaime back, where he flipped back onto his feet and charged at Naruto. The Sandaime skillfully dodged Naruto's sword slashes, where he then jumped into the air slightly and hit Naruto to the side of the head with his bow staff, sending Naruto sideways. But as Naruto was being sent sideways, he was able to kick the Sandaime in the side, sending the Sandaime sideways as well. After which Naruto then got back on his feet, where he spat out some blood from his mouth, which he had got when Sarutobi hit him in the side. So this is how the old man was when he was in his prime. I hate to admit it, but Sarutobi has got some good moves, thought Naruto as he stared at the Sandaime, who then charged at him again. Sarutobi quickly tried a side hit with his staff, but Naruto quickly ducked under it, where he then stabbed Tengu onto Sarutobi's right foot, stopping him from moving, after which he then had Tengu send lightning into Sarutobi's body, electrifying him. Naruto then quickly charged up his leg with lightning chakra to enhance his strength, where he then delivered a powerful kick to Hiruzen, sending him flying sideways, and ripping off his leg, which turned to ash when separated from his body. After dealing with the Sandaime, Naruto then took Tengu out of the ground, but as soon as he did, several long sharp-pointed wood spikes sprung from the ground and tried to impale Naruto. Naruto although was able to avoid the attack by using his Raipo. Seeing this, the Shodaime began to look around for Naruto, but couldn't see him until he heard Naruto cry out, "Himiraiko!" lightning scream. Quote. After hearing this, the Shodaime quickly looked up to see Naruto floating up in the air and thrusting Tengu forward, where a massive blast of lightning erupted from Tengu along with an ear-splitting screech. The attack quickly sped towards the Shodaime at incredible speed, giving him no chance of escape. When the blast ended, there was another large crater, with the Shodaime in it, with most of his body vaporized, leaving only his right arm, torso and head, which were badly burned. But after hitting the Shodaime with his attack, several snakes wrapped themselves around Naruto's arms and neck. When Naruto looked down below, he saw Orochimaru looking up at him smirking, before he pulled Naruto down to the ground hard. Once Naruto hit the ground, Kabuto quickly appeared and tried to sever his arteries from around his heart and kill him. Quickly though, Naruto activated his Reiten no Yoroi lightning release armor to block Kabuto's attack, shocking him and forcing him back several feet. After which, Naruto quickly sent his lightning chakra into the snakes, shocking both them and Orochimaru, forcing them to let go. Once Orochimaru had let him go, Naruto quickly got back on his feet, although once he did, Naruto found himself surrounded again by Orochimaru, Kabuto and the 4 Hokages, whose bodies had regenerated, after which they all attacked. Seeing that they're all attacking at once from all sides, Naruto quickly started to spin around clockwise at high speeds with his swords, while at the same time releasing a large amount of lightning chakra, while crying out, Raisenpu, lightning twister. After which a massive twister made out of lightning formed around Naruto and blasted Orochimaru and the others back, when they came into contact with it. With the observing group, end Naruto Shippuden OST Emergence of Talents, Hyakuryuran extended. It seems that the Raikage is holding his own well at the fight, spoke Kurenai. Indeed, although Naruto seems to be taking a lot more hits than he did when he was fighting earlier against the Tsukikage and the others, he seemed slower than he was earlier, commented Kakashi. That is because he is slower than he was earlier, spoke Mitsuhide, gaining people attention. What do you mean? Asked Temari. As great as Naruto's power is, he is still only human, meaning he has limits just like any other person. For as you saw, he single-handedly took on all 5 leaders of the coalition that is against you and completely overwhelmed them with his power. He also used Daikaitsus and Great Earth Cutting / Futsunushi, Japanese deity of swords and lightning, Psycho Rasengan, Supreme Spiraling Ball, Reikiri, Lightning Cutter, and Futon, Raisen Shuriken Wind Style, Spiraling Shuriken, all of which are S-rank jutsus, and he used them all today and even used both Reikiri and Futon, Raisen Shuriken twice. Not to mention he created this storm, and used multiple other high-level jutsus in the battle, and no matter how strong a person is, using that many high-level jutsu along with everything else he did today would take a toll on anyone. Most other shinobis would have collapsed from chakra exhaustion and be unconscious or dead from chakra exhaustion by now. So it's only natural that Naruto is beginning to get tried, after fighting for so long and so hard, as even shinobis of Tsunade-san and Jiraiya-san would have reached their limits long by now, and be completely drained and unable to fight. At this both Jiraiya and Tsunade nodded their heads in agreement, as even if they were in their prime, they wouldn't have done as near as well as Naruto had, nor could they still be able to fight by this point had they been fighting in Naruto's shoes. So are you guys going to help him now? Asked Konohamaru, as he was worried that Naruto might be killed if he was getting tried. No, replied Yugito. Why not? Asked Konohamaru, you said it yourself, he's getting tired, and that means he's vulnerable and could be killed. We're not interfering because Naruto isn't finished yet, answered Sayuri, where she continued when she saw the other looking at her. Even though Naruto is tried, he still has plenty of fight in him left, as well as plenty of tricks up his sleeves. Also Naruto isn't easily killed because if you remember, he possesses the Shinju Kokai body renewal, which allows the holder to survive any otherwise normally fatal damage and instantly heal from the damage. So don't count Naruto out just yet, said Sayuri with a smile, as she still had faith that Naruto would win. At hearing this the others nodded in understanding and then all turned to continue watching the battle, as Orochimaru and the revived Hokage and Kabuto regrouped to face Naruto again. With Naruto. You've become quite strong, Naruto, spoke the Sandaime with a small smile of pride. Huh, you haven't seen anything yet, Sarutobi, replied Naruto with his own smirk as he then stuck Raijin and Tengu to the ground, and then started to gather a large amount of lighting chakra between his hands and then rose them up into the air, where he fired the lightning into the storm clouds above him. where after a few seconds, a large thundering sound echoed through the sky and lightning flashes could be seen in the thunder clouds, where Naruto then did a single dragon seal and cried out, Raiten, Tenbatsu, lightning style, divine wrath. After which several dozen bolts of lightning fired down from the thunder clouds, as if the heavens were striking down at Orochimaru and the others. The lightning bolts rained down all around Naruto and at Orochimaru and the Hokages, with such shocking speed that it barely gave Orochimaru and the others any chance of avoiding them, where most of them could not. The 4 Hokages tried to avoid the lightning bolts but were all hit, where their bodies were burnt to a crisp. Orochimaru only avoided the attacks, where he used his shedding skin technique at the last second to escape being hit. Kabuto managed by only the sheer stroke of good luck, where he used the Doton, Mogaragakure no Jutsu, Earth Release, hiding like a mole technique, to sink into the ground and go underground to avoid being hit. Although when the lightning bolts hit the ground, they caused several large explosions around Naruto and created small craters in the spots they hit. Quickly enough though the 4 Hokages regenerated back to their original forms, where Orochimaru and Kabuto quickly joined them. It seems that you mastered your mother's bloodline well, Naruto, spoke the Yondaime, as if pleased with his son's skill in using a jutsu created by the Uzumaki clan, back when they wielded the Ranbakar. Oh, I've only just begun to show you what I can do with it, replied Naruto with a sinister-looking smirk, as he then grabbed hold of Tengu and Raijin and prepared to continue the fight. With the observing group. Wait. The Uzumaki clan were the Stormcaller's clan. That's impossible, stated Tsunade in surprise of hearing this. My grandmother's clan specialized in sealing, they had no bloodline. You of all people, Tsunade-sama should understand that one should not judge one by appearance alone, especially in the world of shinobis. For although the Uzumaki clan were unrivaled masters in the art of sealing, it did not mean that they had always specialized solely on the art of sealing, also it did not mean that they didn't have hidden secret that they hid even from the trusted allies such as your clan, spoke Zhuge Liang. But still, if the Uzumaki clan possessed the Ranbakar, and were really the legendary Stormcaller's clan, how did they lose their bloodline? Asked Tsunade. That is a question that Naruto should answer, replied Zhuge Liang, simply, which caused Tsunade to frown, when she heard this as she wanted answers, but knew she wouldn't get any out of Zhuge Liang and decided to simply continue watching the battle. With Naruto. Naruto quickly jumped into the air to avoid a leg sweep from Sarutobi, but as he did Minato suddenly appeared in front of Naruto in a yellow flash and kicked Naruto in the gut, sending him into the ground hard. After Naruto hit the ground, he quickly realized that his father had marked him by placing a Shiki right on him, when he had hit him earlier and was using his Hiraishin no Jutsu, Flying Thunder God technique, to teleport himself to Naruto. Minato then suddenly appeared again in front of him and went to hit him again, but before he could hit him Naruto disappeared in a blue flash, by using his Raipo. Before Minato could fully realize that Naruto was gone, Naruto reappeared behind his father in midair and did a midair spin kick, which sent the Yondaime fly several feet away. The Yondaime quickly skidded on the ground a few meters before he stopped, after which he then stood back up, as if nothing had happened. It seems that you've created your own special speed technique as well, Naruto, and it can rival my own, commented the Yondaime with a hint of pride in his voice. Before Naruto could even reply to his father's comment, Naruto suddenly heard the Shodaime voice cry out, Mokuton Haijutsu, Jukai Koten would release secret technique, nativity of a world of trees. Upon which a large dense forest of trees grew from the ground underneath Naruto, and the rest of the large flat battlefield, covering the left-hand side of it and stopping at the water-filled crater that Naruto had fought the Mizukage in earlier. When the technique ended, Naruto found himself standing on the large branch of a large tree. Crap, this makes things more difficult. With this forest they can sneak up on me, or use the trees as cover when I fight them, thought Naruto as he searched around for them in the densely thick forest. As Naruto looked around for them, he was suddenly hit from behind and sent crashing into a large tree. After which he was then hit by a powerful water jutsu that sent him through said tree, after which as he was sent flying through the air, where he was then hit by Sarutobi, who appeared above him and sent him crashing to the ground hard, causing a large dent in the ground, and making Naruto drop his swords. As Naruto lay on the ground unmoving, the Yondaime, the Sandaime and the Nadaime appeared on the branches of the surrounding trees around the seemingly unconscious young Raikage, and stared silently at him. Quickly enough though, Orochimaru, Kabuto and the Shodaime appeared on the ground near Naruto, who still remained unmoving with his face to the ground and his eyes closed. Kukukukuku, you put up an impressive fight, Naruto-kun, but it seems that the combined power of all four of the pervious Hokages was too much for you to handle in your current state. Had you not tried yourself out with battling myself and my former allies earlier, you might have stood a better chance. But now it seems that this is the end for you, spoke Orochimaru with a smile at his victory over Naruto, where he then raised Kusanagi no Tsurugi and was about to deliver the final blow. But just as he was about to, Naruto suddenly opened his eyes and smiled, where he then placed the palm of his right hand on the ground, and converted his chakra into lightning and sent a powerful bolt of electricity into the ground. The lightning cut through the ground in the direction of Orochimaru, causing the ground to be uplifted and be destroyed. Orochimaru, Kabuto and the Shodaime quickly jumped up into the air, when the ground began to be uplifted by Naruto's lightning. As they were mid-air, Naruto quickly grabbed Tengu and then used Raipo to disappear and reappear in front of Orochimaru and stabbed him in the shoulder and pinned him in a large nearby tree behind him. Naruto then had Tengu run electricity into Orochimaru's body, making it go numb, where the electrical current caused Orochimaru's muscles to go stiff, making it impossible for him to move. Blast. He allowed himself to be hit so to lure me close to him, thought Orochimaru as he realized what Naruto had done. With Orochimaru immobilized, Naruto quickly charged his fist with lightning and was about to smash Orochimaru's head to pieces, but before he could, a yellow flash appeared to Naruto right, where a fist then hit him and sent him crashing behind several trees. After which the Yondaime, along with the Sandaime and the Nadaime, jumped after Naruto to where he was sent to, when the Yondaime hit him. When the three of the four Hokages left, Kabuto quickly appeared next to his master, who still couldn't move thanks to Tengu still running lightning through him, making his body unable to move. Kabuto quickly grabbed the handle of Tengu, so to free his master, but as soon as he did, more electricity ran through his body, forcing Kabuto to let go of Tengu. I cannot take off the sword, Orochimaru-sama, spoke Kabuto as used his Inu Shomitsu, secret healing wound destruction, to heal his burnt hands. Then have the Shodaime do it, hissed Orochimaru out angrily, as the electricity ran painfully through his body. Quickly Kabuto called the Shodaime forward and had him take Tengu off Orochimaru. When the Shodaime grabbed hold of Tengu, the sword quickly sent lightning through his arm and body. But since the Shodaime didn't feel any pain, the lightning didn't even cause him to flinch, after which he then took Tengu off Orochimaru and threw the sword away, where the large burns that were on his hand because of Tengu's lightning began to regenerate and heal. As soon as Tengu had been taken out of Orochimaru, there was a sudden explosion that caused all three men to quickly turn to where Naruto had been sent by the Yondaime when he hit him, and where the Yondaime along with the Sandaime and the Nadaime followed after him. When they looked, they saw the Yondaime, the Sandaime and the Nadaime flying through the air right past them and hitting and knocking down several trees a bit away. The three former Hokages were all badly burned and cut up due to being hit by some kind of powerful wind and lightning techniques. As soon as the three Hokages have been sent flying, Naruto then appeared, where he took off his now ruined trench coat, that was now torn up and covered up in dirt and blood, and threw it away. After which he then picked up the Raijin and activated it and charged straight at Orochimaru, who was still recovering from having Tengu stabbed into him. But before Naruto could reach Orochimaru, the Shodaime intercepted him by attacking him to the side and kicking him. While Naruto was distracted, Orochimaru made a temporary withdrawal until the effects of Tengu's lightning wore off. As Naruto and the Shodaime fought one another, the Shodaime tried to impale Naruto, where created several wooden roots from the ground. Unfortunately though, Naruto was able to replace himself with a shadow clone before the roots could impale him. Naruto quickly then appeared behind the Shodaime and slashed at him with Raijin. Unfortunately though, the Shodaime was able to avoid being slashed for the most part by spinning out of the way of the slash. Although Naruto was still able to sever his left arm, but that did not count for too much as the arm quickly regenerated within a few seconds or so. As Naruto and the Shodaime faced off against one another again, they were quickly joined by the three other Hokages and Kabuto, who surrounded Naruto, where Naruto prepared to face multiple opponents again. As Naruto prepared for the coming attack, the Nadaime quickly did a tiger seal and then cried out, Kokuangyo no Jutsu, bringer of darkness technique. After which the surrounding area became pitch black, leaving Naruto unable to see or defend himself. For the next few minutes Naruto was at a serious disadvantage, with the fact that he could not see who was attacking him. On more than one occasion he had his throat nearly slit or was stabbed through the chest or the back and was forced on the defensive throughout the fight. Shit, I can't fight like this, I need to do something now or I'm a goner. Thought Naruto as he defended an oncoming punch from his right, which he sensed coming thanks the many years he had spent in battle. Knowing he had only one shot at this, Naruto quickly charged up a massive surge of chakra into his hand that formed into lightning in his hand, after which Naruto then slammed his hand into the ground crying out, Reibaku, Thunder Bomb. After which a massive bright light enveloped the darkness, as well as a massive explosion of lightning erupted around Naruto, blasting the 4 Hokages away, as well as severely burning their bodies. When the attack ended, everything within 100 feet radius of Naruto was completely vaporized, leaving no trace. With the Nadaime temporarily out of commission, the Kokuangyo ended and the darkness faded, allowing Naruto to see. After the attack, Naruto was panting slightly, as the attack took a lot of chakra, not to mention he was starting to feel the effects of his previous battle with Orochimaru and his allies. As Naruto regained himself, his shinobi senses suddenly kicked in, telling him to move. Trusting his senses, Naruto quickly did so, which was lucky. For the moment he flipped backwards, Kabuto appeared out of the ground to strike Naruto from behind with a kunai. As Naruto was in midair doing a backwards flip, he stuck a seal note with a paralyzing seal on it, onto the back of Kabuto's neck, paralyzing him. When Naruto was back on his feet, he then walked around in front of the paralyzed Kabuto with a large smirk on his face. Well, Kabuto, it seems that I've you at my mercy, but lucky for you I need you alive, as you have some valuable information that I want, so I won't kill you. But just because I need you alive doesn't mean I won't put you in a world of hurt for everything you've done, spoke Naruto. After which he then did a side spin kick, which was enhanced by his lightning chakra, to the right side of Kabuto's head and sent him flying and skipped across the ground for several feet until he crashed into the wall of a ruined house and went right through it. Satisfied that Kabuto was dealt with, Naruto then called forth Tengu, which sprung out of the ground, as it had been covered by the dirt when Naruto used his Reibaku, but wasn't destroyed due to the fact that it would take a lot more to destroy one of the 3 celestial swords. The sword quickly flew into Naruto's hands, after which he then placed the Raijin back on his utility belt and Tengu back in its sheath on his back. The reason being that Tengu was almost completely out of power, thanks to fighting for so long and after using Futsunushi, while as for Raijin, he didn't need it right now. Once the 2 swords were back in their original places, he then disappeared using a Raishunshin, lightning body flicker, and went off to find Orochimaru and the 4 Hokages and finish his battle with them. Currently the revived Yondaime Hokage was regenerating himself from the injuries he had suffered from Naruto's last attack. Just as he had finished regenerating, he was suddenly sent flying backwards by a powerful punch from his son Naruto, who had just appeared in front of him. Before the Yondaime could even recover from the surprised attack by his son, Naruto appeared again underneath him and kicked him upward, where the speed and the velocity of which Minato was traveling upwards, kept Minato from being able to move. After a few seconds of flying upwards, Naruto quickly appeared again above the Yondaime, with his Raiten no Yoroi activated, doing a downwards kick and hitting the Yondaime, while crying out, Giraken Doropu, righteous lightning sinking anger lightning axe. After being hit by Naruto's attack, the Yondaime flew down to the ground like a meteor, crashing right through the roof of a tall building. Where Naruto floated up in the air and then followed up by gathering a large amount of static electricity from the electrified air of the storm, and gathered it between his hands, holding them above his head and forming the lightning into a large ball. Once he had gathered enough static electricity between his hands, Naruto then threw the large ball of lightning down towards the building that he sent his father to and cried out, "Here's a present from me to you, father, enjoy, Kaminari Hibiki, lightning crash." After that, the ball of lightning flew down towards the Yondaime and exploded with devastating results, where a large dome of light and a large mushroom-shaped cloud could be seen all around. With the observing group, "Damn yo, the boss ain't pulling no punches, that for sure," commented Killer B. No kidding, but not surprising as Naruto has some serious issues to work out when it comes to the Yondaime Hokage, spoke Yugito with a frown. What do you think Naruto is going to do now? As even if he destroyed the Yondaime he has to take out the other Hokages, spoke Sakura. Just wait and watch and you will see soon enough, spoke Fu. With Naruto. After the attack, Naruto floated back down onto the ground, all the while watching silently as the dust began to settle, whereas it did a figure stood up. When the dust finally cleared he saw Yondaime, or a figure that seemed to be the Yondaime, as when the smoke cleared the Yondaime looked like nothing more than a burnt corpse that was standing up. Although that quickly changed as his quickly body regenerated back to his previous state. TCH, I didn't think it would be that easy to get rid of you, but still that regenerating ability of yours is starting to annoy me, commented Naruto with a frown, which was iconic considering he had a similar ability. Quickly after the Yondaime had regenerated himself, he was joined by Orochimaru and the other three Hokages, who prepared to re-engage Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto quickly took out Raijin and the Tengu again to face the Hokages. When Naruto unsheathed Tengu from his back again, Tengu started to spark out lightning again, although not as much as before. I know that you're tired, buddy, but I need you to tough it out just a little bit longer, okay? Spoke Naruto, after which Tengu let out another burst of lightning, making the lightning around it that much stronger. At this Naruto smiled, I knew I could count on you, now let's kick some ass. Spoke Naruto, where he then charged head-on at his opponents. For the next few minutes, Naruto fought the 5 cage-level shinobis by himself, and although he was greatly outnumbered, and taking many hits, as well as becoming more tired, he was still able to hold his own and keep them at bay. As Naruto fought them, the Sandaime charged forward at him with his wooden bow raised and swung downward at him. Naruto fortunately blocked the hit by raising both his swords above his head in a X-like shape. After which he then closed in his swords like a pair of scissors and cut the bow in pieces. Upon which, Naruto then raised his leg up and kicked the Sandaime in the stomach and away from him. After kicking the Sandaime away, Naruto immediately did a backflip to avoid and striking stab from behind by Orochimaru with Kusanagi no Tsurugi, whereas he flipped over him, he kicked Orochimaru from the back of his head, making the snake Sannin fall forward. When Naruto landed back on his feet on the ground, Naruto then quickly raised both his swords again, blocking 2 separate strikes from his left and right by the Yondaime and the Shodaime with their kunais. Unfortunately though, Naruto was too busy with holding off the Yondaime and the Shodaime that he couldn't block the Nadaime, who appeared in front of him and kicked him in the chest, sending Naruto flying backwards. Whereupon, being kicked by the Nadaime, Naruto dropped the Raijin, which the Nadaime quickly picked up and activated, where it took its original form. After being kicked away by the Nadaime, Naruto quickly regained himself by flipping backwards again back onto his feet, whereas he then looked up to see the Nadaime holding out the Raijin and pointing it at him. I believe this sword belongs to me, spoke the Nadaime, as he held up the Raijin. So it does, replied Naruto, as he then took out his wind sword handle and activated it, where he fell into another dual sword stance, after which the 3 former Hokages charged at Naruto. The Yondaime quickly disappeared in an instant and reappeared behind Naruto and tried to stab Naruto from behind. Luckily though, Naruto anticipated this and replaced himself with a large stone. Where as soon as the Yondaime saw what Naruto had done, Naruto sent a crescent wind blade attack flying at his father from behind that traveled at astounding speed. Unfortunately the Yondaime wasn't known as the Yellow Flash for nothing, as he quickly disappeared right before the crescent wind blade could hit him, and reappeared right in front of Naruto and tried to stab him again with his space-time kunai. Lucky though, Naruto was able to move just enough from being stabbed in the heart, but was still stabbed in the side. But even after being stabbed, Naruto did not look the least bit worried, instead he actually smiled a bit, once he got over the pain of being stabbed. Where he then quickly trapped Minato's arm between his side and left arm, keeping Minato from moving, after which he then slashed his father across the chest with Tengu that was in his right hand. Naruto then quickly let go of the Yondaime and then cut the Yondaime head off with his wind sword that was in his left hand. Just before the Yondaime's head was cut off, he had quickly realized that Naruto had let him stab him, but moved enough that the stab wouldn't be fatal, as it was the best way to keep Minato in one place and allow Naruto to get close enough to hit him. Realizing this, Minato had to admire Naruto's cleverness and quick thinking on the battlefield. He also couldn't help but notice that risky moves like that were exactly the types of moves that his mother Kushina would do. Since Kushina was always a risk-taker in a fight, showing that Naruto had inherited a bit of his mother personality and fighting style. As soon as Naruto had dealt with his father, he was suddenly struck from the side by the Shodaime Hokage, who appeared on his left-hand side, after he had dealt with his father and before he could finish him off. After being hit, Naruto flew sideways, where the Nadaime suddenly appeared with the Raijin in his hand and slashed his sword at Naruto's head, in an attempt to sever Naruto's head from his body. But as he did, the Raijin went right through Naruto, revealing that Naruto had used Zanzo afterimage to avoid being hit, without tipping off the Nadaime. Sanzo thought the Nadaima's surprise, as he recognized the ancient technique, before he was then hit from behind by Naruto, who appeared behind the Nadaime using Raipo and kicked him into the remains of one of the Shodaime's trees. As soon as Naruto had kicked away the Nadaime, he suddenly heard the Sandaime voice cry out Kaiten, Karyudan, Fire Style, Fire Dragon Missile. After which several large molten mud balls flew towards Naruto at top speed. Seeing them, Naruto quickly brought up his wind sword and then swung his sword several times and cried out, Kamisori no Kase Razor Wind. Upon which several dozen concentrated blades of wind flew at the molten mud balls and cut them to pieces, after which the wind blades continued on towards Sarutobi and cut him to pieces. But when they did instead of fall into pieces, Sarutobi instead puffed out of existence, revealing he had been a Kage Bunshin shadow clone. As soon as Naruto discovered this, he suddenly heard Sarutobi's voice from above him shouting out, Naguru no Saru, monkey pummel. Where when he looked up he saw the Sandaime falling down towards him doing a mid-air flip and a falling axe kick down towards him. Seeing this, Naruto quickly raised his arm up and blocked the Sandaime's kick and pushed the former Hokage back, making the Sandaime do a backflip to land back onto his feet. After which, he took out a single shuriken from his side pouch and threw it at Naruto, upon which he then did 5 quick hand seals and cried out, Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. After which the shurikens multiplied into several thousand shurikens and flew towards Naruto, leaving little room for him to escape. Naruto quickly brought up both his swords, and fell into a defensive stance, where he then deflected and blocked all the attacking shurikens, with expert skill. After Naruto had dealt with the shurikens, the Sandaime quickly did a single hand seal and then cried out, Doten, Doryuheiki, Earth Release, Earth-style wall. After which a massive wall of earth sprung out of the ground underneath Naruto, causing him to be shot up into the air. The Sandaime quickly followed by jumping after Naruto, and then kicking him down to the ground, causing Naruto to drop his swords. The Sandaime then fell down to earth to finish Naruto off, but just before he could, Naruto opened his eyes and charged his right fist for his Raikage, where he then ducked underneath the Sandaime punch and punched him right in the face, breaking the Sandaime's nose and rearranging his face a good bit and then sending him right through the earth wall he created and flying at least 50 feet away. Once the Sandaime had been dealt with, Orochimaru appeared behind Naruto, where he did a few quick hand seals and cried out Kaiten, Jakain, Fire Style, Serpent Flame. Where a giant snake made out of flames burst out of Orochimaru's mouth and headed straight for Naruto. Seeing the flame snake heading for him, Naruto quickly tried to avoid it, but found he could not, as Orochimaru was able to keep control of the flame snake and had it follow Naruto. When Naruto realized this, he quickly stopped and did a dozen or so hand seals at record speed, where he then cried out, Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu, Water Style, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. Upon which a giant dragon made out of water sprung from the water-filled crater nearby and shot straight for the fire snake, intercepting it before it could hit Naruto, where it quickly extinguished the fire snake. Once the fire snake was dealt with, Orochimaru and the Shodaimes both appeared on either side of Naruto and attacked him at the same time, giving him no chance of escape. Seeing this, Naruto did 3 quick hand seal and cried out, Ranten, Ryunkoha, Storm Release, Thunder Cloud in a wave, where a thick ring of thunderclouds and electricity formed around him. As the Shodaimes and Orochimaru charged at Naruto, they hit the thunderclouds and were electrified and blasted back by the electricity. After which they were then forced back by the powerful blasts of lightning. It was at this point the Nadaime appeared above Naruto, and used the Raijin to block the lightning bolts coming from the thunderclouds around Naruto, and then used the Raijin to cut through the cloud, forcing Naruto to jump away. The Nadaime then quickly took advantage of this and slashed at Naruto with the Raijin, although when he did, Naruto turned into a gust of wind, revealing him to be a futon, Kage Bunshin, Wind Style, Shadow Clone H. Where when he destroyed the clone, it reverted into its natural state and turned into a gust of wind, which exploded and slashed up the Nadaime a bit and blew him several feet away. Although as he was blown back, Naruto then appeared and kicked the Nadaime from behind, sending him flying into the water-filled crater. Naruto then quickly called back Tengu, which flew quickly into Naruto's right hand, after which, he then Raishunshin, lightning body flicker, to the water-filled crater. Once Naruto appeared in the middle of the water-filled crater, he did a few quick one-handed hand seals and cried out, Suten, Kaiten Mizu Domu, Water Style, Spinning Water Dome. After this, a large amount of the water in the crater sprung out from it and formed a large spinning dome around the entire crater. When Orochimaru saw this, he ordered the other 3 remaining Hokages to break through the water dome, so to attack Naruto. But when the revived Hokages made contact with the water dome, they were cut to pieces by the spinning water dome and blasted back by it. As the high velocity that the water dome spun in made its cutting power as strong as any high-level wind ninjutsu, as well as the small high-speed water blades around the water dome which were formed by it. Seeing what happened to the revived Hokages, Orochimaru knew that he would not be able to break through the spinning water dome, so he decided to wait and see what happens, and hopefully watch the Nadaime Hokage kill Naruto once and for all. With the observing group. Smart move, brat, commented Jiraiya, as he saw the large spinning water dome that Naruto created, blast the 3 Hokages away and cut them up. What do you mean, Jiraiya-sama? Asked Ino, not getting it. Now that Naruto has that spinning water dome up, he can fight the Nadaime Hokage one-on-one without interference from Orochimaru and the other Hokages, replied Jiraiya. But can Naruto-kun still win? As he is fighting the Nadaime Hokage on a terrain that favors him, not to mention that the Nadaime Hokage can regenerate from any wound that Naruto-kun can give him within seconds. Also, the Nadaime will not tire if the battle drags on, unlike Naruto-kun, who is already tiring from his previous battles, spoke Hinata, as she was worried at what would happen to Naruto. I don't know, but his chances are a lot better now than there a moment ago when he was fighting all of them together, answered Jiraiya, where the group then refocused their attention back on the battle as the Nadaime now emerged from the water. Inside the spinning water dome. Once the Nadaime was out of the water, he quickly took a Kenjutsu fighting stance with the Raijin. Naruto quickly followed suit, as he fell into a Kenjutsu fighting stance with Tengu, where after a minute or 2 of staring and analyzing one another for any weaknesses to exploit, the 2 cage-level shinobis charged forward with their swords. For the next few minutes the 2 cages fought in a fierce Kenjutsu battle, where they blocked, countered or dodged each other's moves and received some minor cuts from each other blades, that quickly healed, thanks their separate regenerating abilities. The 2 of them fought with amazing skills, where to the observers it was more like a dance than an actually battle. Tenten herself was not missing a move, as it was not every day that one would get to watch 2 master swordsmen battle against one another. Soon enough though, both Naruto and Tobirama broke apart from one another, so to assess each other's condition, which was relatively good, as neither of them really had any damage or wounds thanks to their healing abilities. You're indeed a worthy opponent, Naruto-san, as I've not had a battle like this in a very long time, spoke Tobirama, as he was impressed with Naruto's skill and power. As are you, Tobirama-sama, spoke Naruto respectfully, as he respected the former Hokage and held no ill will towards the man, as he had done him no wrong. It is a shame that Konoha could not see past their fears of you, as I'm certain that you would have led the village well had you became Hokage instead, said the Nadaime. Thanks, replied Naruto simply, as he then fell back into a fighting stance with Tengu, which Tobirama followed as well with the Raijin, where after a few seconds they re-engaged. As the 2 battled, they soon reached a deadlock where they both struggled for dominance and tried to push the other back. Normally Tengu would have easily overpowered Raijin, but unfortunately due to Tengu using up most of its power when it used Futsunushi, along with battling for so long, Tengu was barely able to hold its own against Raijin. Hence both swords were about even with one another in strength. As Naruto and the Nadaime tried to push the other back, Naruto suddenly kicked the Nadaime hard in the shin, making the former Hokage lose his balance slightly, allowing Naruto to push him back a bit. This then gave Naruto the opening he needed, whereas the Nadaime fell backwards, Naruto then swung Tengu and cut the Nadaime's right arm off. Along with the Raijin, which was in the Nadaime's right hand, where it fell into the water and down to the bottom. Unfortunately though, Naruto's victory over the Nadaime was short-lived, as the Nadaime arm quickly regenerated, where he then rushed Naruto and punched Naruto hard in the face, causing him to fall back. After which, Tobirama then flipped into the air and did a double leg drop right into Naruto's stomach, forcing him into the water and to let go of Tengu again. Soon enough though Naruto was able to push the Nadaime off him, and began to swim back to the surface, as he didn't have much air due to being kicked in the stomach when he was sent into the water. Unfortunately though, the Nadaime was highly skilled in not only water ninjutsu, but also in underwater combat, where he quickly swam circles around Naruto, hitting from all direction, not giving the young blonde Raikage a chance to defend himself. Knowing that the Nadaime wouldn't give him a chance to swim back to the surface, Naruto decided to use a technique that his clan created, back when they still possessed their bloodline. The technique involved separating water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen by electrolysis, allowing him to breathe underwater. After using the technique, Naruto was able to breathe and regain himself, where he then started to fight back, but even after this the Nadaime still had the advantage underwater, where Naruto was barely able to hold his own and keep the Nadaime at bay. Soon enough though, Naruto realized that he wasn't going to win like this, as if he tried using lightning, all he would do is electrocute himself along with the Nadaime, and even then he would just regenerate right away like himself. But he would recover a lot faster than Naruto would, as the Nadaime felt no pain, while Naruto did. Freezing was also not an option, as like with using lightning, Naruto would be frozen along with the Nadaime, not to mention the Nadaime would survive it. While Naruto wouldn't, as just because he was hard to kill, didn't mean he couldn't die, as he could still be killed, like being frozen to death. Naruto knew that his only real chance of winning this fight was to get himself and the Nadaime above water, where he at least stood a chance of winning. After seeing that the Nadaime was heading towards him and preparing another strike, Naruto quickly began to rotating at a ferocious speed in a counterclockwise direction, creating an underwater whirlpool, and crying out, Kami no Azu, divine whirlpool. But instead of dragging the Nadaime in and pulling him down to the bottom of the water, the whirlpool sucked him in and pulled him upward to the surface of the water and into the air. As soon as the Nadaime was pulled into the whirlpool and pulled up to the surface of the water, Naruto quickly stopped spinning, where once he regained himself he quickly swam up to the surface of the water. When Naruto emerged out of the water, he was attacked by the Nadaime, where he was hit to the side of the head, but when the Nadaime hit Naruto, he turned into water, revealing that Naruto had replaced himself with a Mizu Bunshin water clone. After seeing this, the Nadaime quickly looked around for where Naruto went. The Nadaime quickly found Naruto, who was in the middle of doing several hand seals, where he then cried out Suten, Suko, water style, water tiger. After which a large tiger made out of water sped across the water at high speed, covering the distance between Naruto and the Nadaime in a short time. Reacting quickly, the Nadaime quickly formed a hand seal and cried out Suten, Suiruden no Jutsu. Where a large water dragon formed out of the water and charged right at Naruto Suko. The two water jutsus quickly collided into one another with enormous effect, causing a massive explosion of water to erupt and scattering a shower of water everywhere, and blocking the observer's view momentarily with a watery mist. With other observing groups, as the explosion of water blocked people's view of the battle, many of the other watchers could not help but be in awe at the battle they were seeing. As despite the odds, Naruto was fighting on even terms with the Nadaime Hokage on a water-filled battlefield. One shinobi especially was watching the battle with unblinking eyes, as he did not wish to miss a moment of it. This shinobi was none other the commander of the Anbu division and had been watching Naruto's battle from the moment he appeared. Unbelievable, I never dreamed, let alone believed I would live to witness this again, Hokage-level combat, thought the Anbu commander. Amazing, I never thought anyone could ever fight on even terms with the Nadaime in a water field battle, spoke an Anbu member, as the Nadaime Hokage was hailed as the greatest water manipulator that ever existed. Indeed, replied the Anbu commander. Do you think he can win? Asked another Anbu. I do not honestly know, spoke the Anbu commander truthfully, as he had no way of knowing which way this battle would turn. As the water and mist caused by the earlier water attack began to clear, they suddenly saw Naruto appearing in midair, dodging several high-pressure water bullets. After which they suddenly heard the Nadaime voice cry out from then watery mist Suten, Mizu Yari, water style, water javelin. After which, several high-pressured beams of water shot out of the mist at astounding speed. With Naruto, as the high-speed water beams shot towards him, Naruto knew that he couldn't avoid them in time, so he quickly did a few quick one-handed hand seals, and brought his two front fingers to his lips and cried out, Hyoten, Reikiko, ice release, icy breath. And then blew out a stream of cold air at the water beams. Within second the water beams froze, turning them into ice spears and were traveling at a slower speed, whereafter their frozen Naruto quickly prepared to use his Raikage and charged up his fist with lightning chakra to enhance their strength. Where using his lightning enhances strength, he smashed the ice spears to pieces. Damn, that was close, thought Naruto, as he used his levitation trick to lower himself back onto the water safely, where he then used a wind jutsu to blow away the remaindering of the water mist so that he could see the Nadaime. But when he did, he couldn't see him anywhere and started to look around. When he couldn't see him, Naruto quickly realized that the Nadaime was underwater. Unfortunately, by the time Naruto realized this, the former Hokage busted out of the water and punched him right in the chin, making Naruto fall back and having to do a backflip, before landing back on the surface of the water and using his chakra to keep himself afloat. Although as soon as Naruto had landed back on his feet, the water underneath him exploded, launching him into the air. The Nadaime then immediately jumped into the air above Naruto and cried out, "Suten, Koka Suijin water style, water hardened drill," where he created a large water drill around his arm, and sent it striking at Naruto. Luckily Naruto was able to use his Raipo at the last second to dodge the attack, where the Nadaime just hit the surface of the water instead, although the attack did create a large water explosion when it hit the water surface. As soon as the explosion ended, Naruto appeared to the Nadaime left and kicked him in the chest and sent him flying back several feet away, after which the Nadaime counterattacked by punching Naruto in the right-hand side of his face. For the next few minutes the two Kages fought in a fierce taijutsu battle, where after a little while the two broke apart, where the Nadaime then did a single hand seal and cried out, "Suten, Susoha, water style, water shockwave," where a spiraling vortex of water emerged from the water and became a giant wave that then fell towards Naruto. Naruto tried to avoid the technique, but the Nadaime was skillfully able to control the movement of the wave, and had it follow Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto then did a combination of 50 one-handed hand seals and normal two-handed hand seals, in the space of only a few seconds. After which, he then cried out, "Tenpu Midet, heavenly wind rage." 2. Just when the giant wave was about to envelope Naruto from all sides. After Naruto completed the just a massive explosion of wind erupted from Naruto and blasting the giant water wave away with incredible force, where the Nadaime had to focus a lot of his chakra to the water surface to keep from being blown away by it. When the wave was dealt with, Naruto sighed, "Damn, the Nadaime definitely lives up to his reputation as the world's greatest water manipulator, as I haven't had a water jutsu battle this hard since I last fought Anasu. Hell, Anasu would probably have an equally hard time with him as well," thought Naruto. After which he then decided that enough was enough and that he was going to finish this battle with the next move, as he couldn't afford to fight with the Nadaime any longer, as he still had 4 more opponents to fight. Not to mention the Suten. Kaiten Mizudomu was eating up a lot of his chakra to maintain, hence fighting a drawn-out battle, with it still on, wasn't the wisest course of action. At the same time that Naruto was thinking this, he saw the Nadaime preparing to use another water jutsu. Seeing this, Naruto prepared his own jutsu. "This is the end for you, Nadaime-sama. I apologize for any pain I may have caused you, but I cannot afford to lose this battle," spoke Naruto, as he finished his hand seals. At the same moment the Nadaime also finished preparing his own jutsu, where he then cried out, "Suten, Sukoden no jutsu, water style, water shark missile technique." While Naruto cried out, "Hyoten, Gyokoju, ice release, freezing beast." Where a large wolf-like creature's head formed. As the attacks raced towards one another, the water all around the large ice beast began to freeze. Once it made contact with the water shark missile, it froze the attack solid, turning it into an ice sculpture before it shattered and broke to pieces. After which the ice beast continued on towards the Nadaime Hokage, who was about to move away from the oncoming attack. But before he could, he found that his feet and legs were frozen, due to the ice beast being so close, where the cold air it was releasing was freezing everything around it, as the water made a perfect conductor, where it increased the freezing. Hence with the Nadaime standing on water, his feet quickly became frozen. "It seems I've lost this battle. Well done, young Raikage," thought the Nadaime with a smile, as he knew what would happen next, but did not care. Within seconds the creature hit the Nadaime, and turned him into a frozen statue and launched him into the air due to the force of the attack. As the frozen former Hokage flew into the air, Naruto was waiting for him from above, with his fist charged with lightning and ready to use his Raikage, whereas the Nadaime flew up into the air. Naruto descended from above and struck the Nadaime with his lightning-enhanced fist, shattering the former Hokage into thousands upon thousands of tiny little ice pieces, completely destroying his body. But even with this, Naruto wasn't done yet, as he quickly brought his hand forward, fired a powerful storm jutsu that incinerated the ice shards of the Nadaime, ensuring that he was indeed dead for good. Upon destroying the Nadaime, Naruto landed on the now ice-covered water in the crater, panting slightly, after which he turned to look up at the sky to the blowing ashes of the Nadaime, knowing that the Nadaime was indeed dead now, and could only hope he was at peace now. with the observing groups. I don't believe it, the kid actually did it, said a shocked Jiraiya. To quote Naruto-kun, believe it, said Yugito with a smile. He's dead this time, and I don't mean maybe, commented Killer B. Unreal, said Kiba in disbelief. Truly impressive, remarked Sai, clearly impressed. How on earth did Naruto do it? Spoke Sakura with disbelief. It's simply really, spoke Okatsu, gaining people's attention. Even though the resurrected Hokages are impossible to kill by most normal means, there are certain ways to beat or kill them again. One such way was what Jiraiya-san said, which is to extract their souls, as the Sandaime did when he fought the Shodaime and the Nadaime during the Suna and Oto invasion of Konoha. Another way to beat them is to completely immobilize their bodies, and the final way to kill them is to completely and utterly destroy their bodies, to an extent that they cannot regenerate, and do it with a single move. Natural given their abilities, that is easier said than done, but even still it's not impossible, as the Raikage has just proven. Way to go, Nii-san, cried Konohamaru, followed by Mogi and Udon, who cheered with joy at Naruto defeating the Nadaime. You're amazing, Naruto-kun, said Hinata quietly, with a smile, as she looked down at Naruto. Naruto, thought Sasuke with a frown, as he gripped his hand rightly in anger, as he looked down at his former teammate and friend. Way to go, brat, thought Tsunade, with a smile, where she also silently prayed that her great uncle could find peace now, after being defeated by Naruto. Impossible. How could that brat defeat the Nadaime Hokage? The Edo Tensei, impure world resurrection, is perfect, and those that are summoned by it cannot be killed. So how did that accursed brat do it? Thought the Orochimaru with fury and disbelief, as he still could not believe that Naruto actually managed to kill the Nadaime Hokage. Unknown to Orochimaru, both the Sandaime and the Yondaime had small smiles of pride on their faces at seeing Naruto being able to defeat the Nadaime Hokage. With Naruto, after defeating the Nadaime, Naruto knew he needed some added strength, so he summoned both the Raijin and Tengu from the water bellow, where both swords broke through the ice and returned to Naruto's hands. The Raijin was able to do this, thanks to a special seal that Naruto placed on it and allowed him summon it to him in the same way that he summoned Tengu. The reason he didn't do this when the Nadaime Hokage took it from him was because the Nadaime had a tight grip on the sword and wouldn't let it go. Once the swords returned to him, Naruto then placed the Raijin on his utility belt and put Tengu back on the sheath on his back, after which Naruto then fell into a stance and closed his eyes and began to gather natural energy to use in his Gama Sennin Modo Toad Sage mode. With the observing group. What's Naruto doing? Asked Ino. I don't know, maybe he's gathered chakra for some special technique that he's going to use against Orochimaru and the other Hokages, spoke Choji. Seeing Naruto in his stance, Jiraiya began to frown and stare intently at Naruto, as if trying to figure out what Naruto was doing. Could the brat have actually mastered it? Jiraiya wasn't the only one that was staring intently at Naruto, as Zhuge Liang was also focusing his attention on what the young blonde Raikage was doing. So Naruto, you've reached the point where you need the Gama Sennin Modo. I cannot say I'm surprised, given how hard and how long you've fought. You will need the power of the Sage Mode if you wish to defeat Orochimaru and the other Hokages. But still you need to be careful, as there is a limit to how long you can use it, until you run out of natural energy, where by that point you'll be even more vulnerable than you are now, thought Zhuge Liang. What's that brat doing this time? Thought Orochimaru with a large frown. With Naruto. After a few minutes Naruto had gathered as much natural energy as he could, where he then stopped and opened his eye, revealing yellow irises, horizontal bar-like pupils, and the reddish-orange pigment on each eye, which were the marks of a true Toad Sage. Once Naruto was in his Gama Sennin Modo mode, he deactivated the Suten, Kaiten Mizu Domu, where the water flowed back into the crater and covered the ice that Naruto's attack created. Enter Naruto Shippuden OST Gekiha. When the spinning water dome was gone, Naruto quickly used his Raipo to speed across the ground and right up to the Shodaime in the blink on an eye. As soon as Naruto appeared in front of the Shodaime, he punched the former Hokage right in the stomach and sent him flying to the other end of battlefield. What the? Thought Orochimaru in surprise, when he saw Naruto launching the Shodaime away with a single punch. After which Naruto then quickly turned to Orochimaru, and sped across to him with amazing speed and quickly closed the distance between them and raised his fist to hit him in the face. Reacting quickly, Orochimaru sidestepped Naruto's punch, but when he did, he was still hit by something else and sent flying sideways. As soon as Orochimaru had been sent flying, the Yondaime quickly appeared behind Naruto and stabbed Naruto in the back, but to his surprise the space-time kunai did not pierce Naruto's skin. Where Naruto quickly grabbed the Yondaime's arm and then flipped his father over him and onto the ground hard, causing a large dent on the ground. After which, Naruto then quickly spun around so to be standing directly over his father and to be facing him, all the while still holding onto the Yondaime arm, thereby dislocating it and snapping it into two at the same time. Upon which Naruto then held out his arm in the air and formed a Senpo, Odama Rasengan, Sage Art, Great Ball Spiraling Sphere where he was about to hit the Yondaime with it, face first. But before Naruto could, he was kicked to the side of the head by the Sandaime who suddenly appeared to his left side and sent him skidding across the ground, where the Senpo, Odama Rasengan dissipated due to Naruto losing concentration. After hitting Naruto, the Sandaime then did 6 quick hand seals and inhaled deeply and cried out Kaiten, Kiryu Enden, Fire Style, Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. Before he spat out a long stream of fire that divided into 3 and formed dragon heads and assaulted Naruto in all 3 directions at once. Naruto quickly slammed his fist into the ground and then cried out, Suten, Suijinheki, Water Style, Water Encampment Wall. After which a wall of water burst out of the ground and around Naruto protecting him from the red-hot flames. When the hot flames of the Sandaime's Kaiten, Kiryu Enden, hit the cool wall of water of Naruto's Suten, Suijinheki, a large cloud of hot steam appeared as the fire attack was extinguished by Naruto's water defense. As soon as the attack ended, the Sandaime and the Yondaime suddenly sensed something form the air, where when they looked up they saw Naruto falling down towards them holding a giant version of the Rasengan. When the 2 former Hokages saw this, they quickly realized that Naruto had used the steam created by the Sandaime's fire hitting Naruto's water defense as cover screen. Just as Naruto was about to hit Sarutobi and Minato with his attack, he cried out the name of his attacked Senpo, Cho Odama Rasengan, Sage Art, Super Great Ball Spiraling Sphere. After which a massive explosion erupted, that enveloped the 2 former Hokages and blasted Naruto back. Who in turn did a mid-air backflip, and landed on the ground a distance away from the explosion. End Naruto Shippuden OST Gekiha. When the explosion faded a large crater could be now seen, which was connected to the upper part of the larger crater in the center of the battlefield, where Naruto had his battle with the Mizukage and the Nadaime Hokage. In the small crater people could see the pieces of the Yondaime and the Sandaime remains, as they had been completely blown apart by Naruto's attack, where a large protection of their bodies had been completely vaporized by it as well. With the observing group. That's the way Ni-san. Cheered Konohamaru. Way to go Naruto. Show them who's boss. Cried Kiba pumping his fist into the air. He blew those suckuses down like a motherfucking squall, spoke Killer B. But how I thought Naruto, I mean the Raikage, was tiring. Where did he get this sudden burst of power and energy? Spoke Neji. For when he saw Naruto use the Senpo, Odama Rasengan and the Senpo, Cho Odama Rasengan, he could detect an unusual energy coming off them and Naruto with his Byakugan. Even though he couldn't see Naruto's chakra inside his body, he could at least see the energy outside it that was released. I'm sure there is a reason to Naruto's newfound strength and power, commented Kakashi, as he had already guessed what Naruto had done. Jiraiya, did Naruto do what I think he did? Asked Suand, as like Kakashi she had guessed what Naruto had done. He did, replied Jiraiya along with a nod, the kid truly has surpassed even me. What do you mean by that Jiraiya-sama? Asked Hinata, as like most people she was curious to what Naruto had done and what kind of power was now using. The kid has mastered the Senjutsu sage technique, answered Jiraiya simply, as he stared down at Naruto with a serious look. Senjutsu, what's that? Asked Ino as she had never heard of it before. Senjutsu refers to a specialized field of jutsu that allows the user to sense and then gather the natural energy around a person. Senjutsu practitioners can then learn to draw the energy of nature inside of them, blending it with their own chakra, created from spiritual and physical energy within the shinobi, adding a new dimension of power. Which results in the creation of Senjutsu chakra, said Jiraiya, and continued with his explanation. This new chakra enables the user to enter an empowered state called Senin Modo, which can then drastically increase the strength of all ninjutsu, genjutsu, and taijutsu. A person who is able to use Senjutsu is called a sage. Only those who already possess extreme chakra levels like Naruto and me can utilize natural energies to invoke Senjutsu. Also, using senjutsu can be very difficult and dangerous to use, since if the user draws in too much natural energy in the attempt to initiate Senin Modo, they run the risk of transforming into a toad, then into stone, which can never be reversed, said Jiraiya, shocking many how powerful yet dangerous using the Senin Modo was. Even I have trouble using it, since when a person uses the Gamma Senin Modo they take on the characteristics of a toad, where the less control they have, the more toad-like they become, like myself where my eyes and nose become toad-like, spoke Jiraiya. But Naruto's eyes have just changed, his nose hasn't, spoke Choji. That's because Naruto has completely mastered it, as when a true master of the Gamma Senin Modo uses it, only his eyes will become toad-like, meaning that he has truly surpassed me, said Jiraiya, with a hint of pride for his former student and godson. Although he narrowed his eyes slightly, as this erased all doubt he had at the toads not knowing about Naruto being alive and proved that they'd lied to him. Upon hearing this, many were dumbstruck at hearing that Naruto had surpassed even Jiraiya, Konoha's currently strongest shinobi, in the art of the Toad Sage, which he was famed for. At hearing all that, certain Uchiha glare with such fury, that if looks could kill, Naruto would have been nothing more than a pile of ash. Damn you dope, growled Sasuke. With Naruto. Soon after the explosion faded, the two Hokage's bodies immediately began to regenerate, and before Naruto could stop them and finish him off, the Shodaime and Orochimaru appeared in front of him, and blocked him from the regenerating Hokages. As Orochimaru and the Shodaime faced off against Naruto, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes in anger and confusion. How did that brat do it? I'm certain I avoided his hit, but he was still able to hit me, and where did he get this sudden increase in power? It makes no sense, thought Orochimaru furiously, after which his eyes suddenly widened when he stared right into Naruto's eyes. Those are the eyes of a toad. Which means that the boy is using and has mastered the Gamma Senin Modo, thought Orochimaru with surprise. Blast. Now it makes sense, how the boy gained such an increase of strength and power so suddenly, after which Orochimaru narrowed his eyes in anger, as Naruto was truly a student of his former teammate. After a minute or so the Sandaime and the Yondaime jumped out of the crater that they'd just been in and joined Orochimaru and the Shodaime, as they faced against Naruto. When the Yondaime saw Naruto's eyes, he too quickly recognized the Gamma Senin Modo. It seems that you have mastered the Gamma Senin Modo, Naruto-kun, just like Jiraiya-sensei. At this Naruto only scoffed, please don't insult me, I've completely mastered it, unlike that old perverted hermit. Truly impressive Naruto-kun, you've indeed come far in only a few years' time, spoke the Sandaime with pride at seeing how much Naruto had grown. Before Naruto could even comment to Sarutobi's praise, Orochimaru suddenly cried out, enough of all this drabble, and kill him. After hearing Orochimaru's orders, the three Hokages immediately charged forward and attacked Naruto. The Yondaime quickly used his Hiraishin no Jutsu to teleport himself to Naruto, where he then knee-kicked him in the stomach, after which he did a 360 spin kick and sent Naruto flying sideways. Where he then appeared again over Naruto, who was still flying in the air, and then elbowed him in the gut and slammed him into the ground, where the Yondaime then flipped backwards and stood a few feet away from Naruto. When the Yondaime landed back on his feet, Naruto immediately got back up on his feet and brushed the dirt off his pants and shirt and Anbu chest plate and cracked his neck, as if nothing happened. That all you got? Asked Naruto, where he then disappeared right before Minato's eyes, and right before Orochimaru, the Sandaime and the Shodaime could hit him, when they attacked him from three sides. Naruto then reappeared and did a rear spinning low kick, kicking the Yondaime off his feet and flying in the air. Naruto then followed up with a series of kicking attacks, starting from a low kick and linking into a middle kick and high kick, then finishing off with a heel drop, which sent the Yondaime soaring down to the ground. But before the Yondaime could hit the ground, he used his Hiraishin no Jutsu to teleport next to Naruto. Fortunately though for Naruto, he predicted this, and when the Yondaime appeared next to him in midair, Naruto then did a spinning back kick, with such speed that not a single person watching could follow his movement, smashing the Yondaime with overwhelming strength that he crashed right into the ground. Even after being hit by that devastating blow, the Yondaime quickly got back with no sign of injury. But before he could even try and attack Naruto, Naruto reappeared right below the former Hokage by using Raipo. After which Naruto then delivered a powerful rising kick to the chin that once again launched the Yondaime high into the sky. Naruto then quickly followed him up to the sky, where he then hit the Yondaime in a pressure point in his back to stop him from moving, and then released a dozen or so lines of ninja wire to wrap around the Yondaime and restrain him. Upon which Naruto began rotating at a ferocious speed while falling and pile-drive the Yondaime into the ground headfirst, while Naruto landed and skidded on the ground just outside the large crater he created with his attack. With the observing group. Those moves, said Lee in surprise, immediately recognizing them. Goken, strong fist, but where did Naruto-san learn them? Asked an equally surprised Guy, as like Lee, he recognized the fighting style that he used and specialized in. Juge Liang-sama. Where on earth did Naruto-san learn Goken? As only Lee and I know it. Asked Guy. From the library of Benzaiten, of course, as the Goken fighting style has existed for many years long before Konoha was built. The Raikage knew how powerful the fighting style was, after seeing you and your former student use it in battle many times. So when he found it in the library right after he became Raikage 3 years ago, he decided to train in it, knowing how useful it would be in battle. Although he is nowhere near the level that you and your student are in it, he is still quite proficient in it to be a challenge, answered Juge Liang. Yosh. Naruto-kun dedication to hard work and training, as well as his youthful determination is truly inspirational, cried Lee with enthusiasm. Indeed, my youthful former student, the flames of youth truly burn as brightly as the sun in the Raikage-sama, he is truly an inspiration to us all, shouted Guy with just as much enthusiasm as Lee. At the same time that Guy and Lee were praising Naruto for his skill, determination and dedication to hard work and training, along his skill in using Goken, Tsunade and Jiraiya, were in deep thought. As upon hearing how Goken, a fighting style that was well known to be affiliated with Konoha, could be learned elsewhere was troubling to say the least, as who knew how many other jutsus they possessed in that library. With Naruto. After dealing with the Yondaime for now, Naruto decided to deal with Orochimaru and the others, but just as he turned around he suddenly heard the Shodaime voice cry out, Mokuton, Mokusatsu Shibari no Jutsu, wood release, smothering binding technique. After which several wood tendrils shot out of the Shodaime Hokage's arm and wrapped themselves around Naruto, after which Orochimaru and the Sandaime appeared on either side of him where then began to do hand seal. Where when they finished the Sandaime cried out, Doton, Doryuden, Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet. Where a dragon head formed out of the ground and fired concentrated balls of mud at Naruto. At the same time as well Orochimaru finished doing his hand seal and cried out Suton, Ya no Kuchi, Water Style, Snake's Mouth. Upon seeing the two attacks, Naruto quickly used his enhanced sage strength to break out of the Shodaime wood binds and then jumped out of the way of the two attacks that collided with one another. When Naruto landed back on the ground and saw his three opponents racing towards him, he then quickly inhaled a large amount of air and cried out Senpo, Futon Sunabokori, Sage Art, Wind Release Dust Cloud. And exhaled the wind, after which a massive cloud of dust erupted from around Naruto, blocking everyone's view of the battlefield. As the dust cloud covered the battlefield, Orochimaru, the Shodaime and the Sandaime looked around in all direction and extended their senses in the hope of finding Naruto. Unfortunately though they could not sense him, nor could they see him thanks to the dust cloud obstructing their view. Naruto on the other hand didn't have this problem, as thanks to being in his Senin Modo, he was able to sense chakra around him, or to be more specific he could sense the different chakra signatures of his opponents that were around him, which allowed him to know the locations of his opponents. Taking advantage of this Naruto, quickly raced towards the Sandaime, who was still trying to find him. Before the Sandaime could even sense Naruto coming, Naruto pounced on him, and unleashed a series of powerful punches on the Sandaime, that were enhanced thanks to his Senin Modo. After delivering a severe beatdown of the Sandaime, Naruto decided to finish the Sandaime off, where he formed two Rasengan's spiraling spheres in his hands and enhanced them with Senjutsu chakra. After which he then thrust his hands forward into the Sandaime's stomach, and cried out Senjutsu, Rasengan, Sage Art, Spiraling Sphere Barrage. Blasting the former Hokage away, and flying out of the dust cloud through several trees that the Shodaime hand created earlier. As soon as Naruto had dealt with the Sandaime, Naruto then heard Orochimaru cry out, Futon. Daytopper, Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. Blowing away his dust cover. Quickly though, Naruto used his enhance abilities from his Senin Modo to jump high up into the air to avoid detection for the moment. When the dust cloud blew away, Orochimaru began looking to where Naruto was, although he only saw the Shodaime, who wasn't far from him, while his former sensei, the Sandaime, was gone, who Orochimaru guessed was the one that Naruto had attacked moments ago. As Orochimaru kept looking around for Naruto, he quickly heard Naruto's voice shouting out from above him, looking for me. where when Orochimaru looked up, he saw Naruto falling down towards him holding a gigantic version of the Rasengan, where he then cried out, Senpo, Cho Odama Rasengan, Sage Art, Super Great Ball Spiraling Sphere. Shit, thought Orochimaru, as he saw the giant Rasengan heading for him. Orochimaru immediately tried to avoid the attack, and although he was able to avoid a lethal hit, he was still caught in it, where half his body was destroyed and he was sent flying away to the other end of the cleared area. With Orochimaru out of the way for the moment, Naruto turned to face the Shodaime, who was just about on top of him, when he turned around. For the next few minutes the two cage-level warriors fought in a fierce taijutsu battle, where although Naruto had the advantage of being stronger thanks to his Senin Modo, the Shodaime was able to take a great deal of the hits with little trouble, thanks to him not feeling any pain and to his regenerating abilities. As the fight continued, Naruto quickly ducked under and left strike from the Shodaime, where he quickly planted an exploding note on the Shodaime's leg, where he then rolled out of the way and activated it, causing the Shodaime leg to blow off. Before Naruto could take advantage of this, Naruto was kicked from behind and sending him flying forward. Thankfully though, Naruto quickly regained himself and flipped himself back onto his feet and faced his attacker. When he looked up, he narrowed his eyes as he saw that his attacker was none other than his father, who used his Hiraishin no Jutsu to appear behind Naruto and hit him before he could sense him. "You really starting to piss me off even more now," stated Naruto, as he narrowed his eyes at his father. As he did, he suddenly sensed a familiar chakra signature coming from behind him. Reacting quickly, Naruto moved out of the way and narrowly avoided another kick from behind, but this time from the Sandaime. Both Hokages then quickly moved in on Naruto to take advantage of their numbers. Seeing this, Naruto did a single-hand seal, where his hair quickly grew down his back, after which he bended down and cried out, Senpo, Kebari Senbon, Sage Art, Hair Needle Barrage. Where upon doing this, a massive screen of sharp needle hairs were fired at the two Hokages and turned them into human pincushions, stopping them dead in their tracks. Naruto then quickly deactivated his jutsu, returning his hair to normal, after which he then formed a single-hand seal and cried out Kage Bunshin no Jutsu Shadow Clone Technique, and created two Shadow Clone enhanced with Senjutsu Chakra. The two clones quickly then formed two giant Rasengans in their hands and then hit the two Hokages with them, while crying out Senpo, Odama Rasengan, and blasting them away in different directions. After which the two clones went after the two Hokages, making sure to keep them busy until Naruto was finished with the Shodaime. As soon as the two Hokages were out of the way, Naruto had to quickly replace himself with a broken tree truck, to avoid being impaled by several wooden spikes that erupted from the ground around him. When Naruto reappeared, he came face to face with the founder of Konoha, the Shodaime Hokage, who quickly fired several thick tendrils of wood from the ground and at Naruto, who in turn quickly called for his wind sword that he had dropped earlier. The sword handle immediately flew through the air and into his hands due to it having the same kind of summoning seal that Naruto had placed on the Raijin. Naruto then quickly activated the wind blade on his sword handle and used the blade of wind to cut the wooden tendrils to pieces. Once the wooden tendrils were dealt with, Naruto then fired several wind blades at the Shodaime, who upon being hit turned into a Moku Bunshin wood clone, revealing that the Shodaime he had been fighting was a Moku Bunshin. As soon as Naruto had dealt with the Shodaime's Moku Bunshin, the real Shodaime appeared behind Naruto and cried out Mokuton, Mokuden, wood release, wood projectiles, and fired several sharp pieces of wood at Naruto from behind. Thankfully though, Naruto was able to spin around and block these attacks, by skillfully cutting the wooden pieces with his wind sword, just as they're about to hit him. After dealing with the wooden projectiles, Naruto quickly put away his wind sword and placed it back on his utility belt, where he then did a few quick hand seals and channeled his wind affinity and lightning together and then cried out, Fujin to Raijin no Jutsu, Wind God and Thunder God Technique. After which a giant tornado made out of wind and lightning emerged from his hands and went straight for the Shodaime, where it tore up the ground as it headed for him. As the lightning and wind tornado headed for the Shodaime Hokage, many were greatly surprised and impressed with Naruto's mastery and skill in collaborating jutsu, since it took tremendous skill and control over one's elemental affinities, to be able to combine two elements, especially when one weakens the other, and then make them into a powerful jutsu of this level. Seeing the massive tornado of wind and lightning tearing up the ground towards him, Hashirama quickly formed three-hand seal and cried out, Mokuton, Mokujo Heiki, wood release, wood locking wall. When Naruto's attack collided with Hashirama wooden wall, there was a massive explosion, where the ground around it was blown apart and torn to pieces, but the wall stood strong and withstood the powerful jutsu, although there were many large cracks on it. When the explosion ended, Hashirama immediately jumped over the wooden wall and did 5 quick hand seals and then cried out, Mokuton, Jubaku Iso, would release, curse binding nest. Where a large tree suddenly formed around Naruto from the ground and the roots started to form and wrap themselves around him. Naruto tried to break free, but the roots were too strong and he could not break them, after which Naruto then began to sink into the ground. Please forgive me, young one, but I must now end you life, but know you fought valiantly and earned by respect and admiration, spoke Hashirama, when he then had the roots enclose on Naruto and have Naruto's body implode. But when the roots closed in on Naruto, he exploded from the force of the roots, revealing that he was a Bunshin Daibaku, clone great explosion. It was upon seeing this that the Shodaime Hokage quickly realized that at the last moment Naruto had replaced himself with an exploding clone. Quickly the Shodaime began to look for where Naruto was, where he soon found Naruto, not far away from him on his left-hand side, doing a single hand seal and then crying out, Suten, Mizu Kamakiri, water style, rising water slicer. Where Naruto then spat out a fast jet of water, sliced through the ground, as it headed towards the former Hokage. Immediately the Shodaime did 3 fast hand seals and cried out, Mokuton, Jukai Heki, wood release, dense woodland wall. Upon which countless wooden branches emerged from the ground at high speed and interlaces with one another to form a wide, net-like wall. The powerful water technique collided with the powerful wooden defense, and like with the Mokuton, Mokujo Heiki, it withstood Naruto's water attack. Hashirama then had the Mokuton, Jukai Heki, sink back into the ground and then did 4 more quick hand seals and cried out, Mokuton, Daijuran no Jutsu, wood release, great forest technique. After which Hashirama stretched out his arm and it transformed into trees, where he then had them stretch out in great speed and forked into dozens of different branches with sharp stakes at the same time, turning them into sharp, spear-like piercing weapons, where he tried to impale Naruto with them. Seeing this, Naruto did a single hand seal and then cried out, Hyoten, Hyokekai, ice release, ice barrier. Oh, after which a massive wall of ice erupted from the ground in front of Naruto, blocking Hashirama attack, which penetrated the ice wall a bit but was stopped. Upon which the ice began to spread across the wooden tree and towards Hashirama, who quickly separated himself from the rest of the tree. Although when he did, Hashirama began to hear a bell-like screech coming from above. When he looked up he saw Naruto, who had seemingly jumped up into the air, when Hashirama was busy keeping himself from being frozen. As the Shodaime looked up, he also saw Naruto holding a strange unknown jutsu to him, although one that the Sandaime and more specifically the Yondaime knew, when they looked up into the air. After they defeated Naruto's clones and saw what was in Naruto's hand and realized what it was. Upon the 3 Hokages seeing him, Naruto roared out, Futon, Raisin Shuriken, wind style, spiraling Shuriken. And then threw it, much to the surprise of the Yondaime and Sandaime, as well as at the same time confirming what they'd guessed. The Raisin Shuriken then flew through the air towards the Shodaime at astonishing speed, where the Shodaime tried to avoid it, but could not as the attack came in too fast, where he was then severed from his lower half. You're indeed strong, young Uzumaki, just what I would expect from one of my kindred cousins, you've defeated me. Thought the Shodaime with a smile, before the Raisin Shuriken expanded, and he was enveloped by the wind sphere caused by the Raisin Shuriken and was completely vaporized. After the Shodaime was dealt with, Naruto then landed on the ground, panting slightly, with a bit of sweat forming around his forehead. With the observing group, looks like Naruto has defeated another of the Hokages, commented Shikamaru, after seeing the Shodaime being vaporized by the Raisin Shuriken. Yay, but it seems that using Raisin Shuriken again took its toll on Naruto, as throwing a technique like Raisin Shuriken is no simple task, let alone creating it, so there's no telling how much chakra it takes just to create it, spoke Jiraiya with a frown. Not to mention that it seems that he is reaching his limits at last, said Tsunade. Tsunade-sensei, should we go down and help Naruto? Asked Shizune. Before Suen could answer, Fu suddenly spoke up, none of you will interfere with the battle. But look at him, spoke Sakura, he can't go on much longer, you said it yourselves that he has his limits and he was beginning to reach them earlier, why can't we help him? Because Naruto isn't done yet, spoke Mitsuhide. What do you mean by that? Asked Kureni. As I said, Naruto isn't done yet, for as tired as he looks he still has some fight in him left and will no give up until he is dead or is incapacitated, answered Mitsuhide. But spoke Kurenai, but before she could finish, she was interrupted by Zhuge Liang. None of you need worry, as the moment that we are certain that the Raikage cannot continue fight and his life is in danger, we will intervene, but until then we'll simply watch and will stop any of you should you try and interfere with his battle, said Zhuge Liang as he continued to watch his former student with a frown. Although at the same time thinking, now that you are reaching your limits, Naruto, will you use its power or continue to stubbornly refuse it? With Naruto. As Naruto regained himself, the Yondaime and the Sandaime quickly appeared in front of him. As the two former Hokages stood before Naruto, Minato suddenly spoke up, "It seems you have accomplished what I could not and have surpassed me, Naruto. TSK, save you your praises for some that actually cares," said Naruto as he didn't want his father's praise. A sad look appeared on Minato's face when he heard Naruto's reply, where it was obvious that Naruto hated him. Even Sarutobi looked saddened by Naruto's answer, as he had never thought that Naruto would be so cold and uncaring towards his own father. True, it wasn't surprising considering Naruto's life, but still had hoped that Naruto would come to understand his father's situation and why he did what he did. Sadly though, even though Naruto knew why his father placed the Kyuubi into him, Naruto could not forgive his father and held him as responsible for his cruel life as he did the villagers and those that persecuted him. As the two Hokages stared off against Naruto, a snake suddenly appeared from the ground behind Naruto and wrapped itself around Naruto's neck and began to choke the life out of him. After the snake sprung out of the ground, Orochimaru also emerged from it, where it could be seen that the snake that was choking Naruto came from his mouth. As the snake was choking Naruto, a large smile appeared on his face, as he had watched Naruto defeat the Shodaime and was furious at the fact that Naruto had defeated another one of his puppets, again, hence he planned on enjoying slowly squeezing the life out of Naruto. Sadly though for Orochimaru, Naruto had no intention of letting Orochimaru kill him, as when the snake wrapped around his neck and began to squeeze it, he activated his Raiten no Yoroi lightning release armor. After which he then sent the lightning through the snake into Orochimaru, shocking him and forcing Orochimaru to let him go. Upon seeing this, the two Hokages immediately attacked Naruto, where the Yondaime appeared right in front of Naruto and punched him in the face, sending him backwards. After which the Sandaime appeared beside Naruto and kicked him in the side, sending Naruto flying back several feet away. Fortunately though, no damage was done to Naruto thanks to his Raiten no Yoroi protecting him from the hits. Once he had regained his footing, Naruto used his Raipo to gain some distance from his opponents, where after he appeared a few meters away he then did 7 quick hand seals and stretched out his hand with his palm forward. Where he then began to gather a massive amount of lightning chakra and concentrated it into his outstretched palm, where after a minute or so, when he had gathered enough power he released it and roared out, "Raikoho, Thunder Roar Cannon." Releasing a massive blast of lightning chakra directly at Orochimaru and the two revived Hokages. The blast came in at such amazing speed that Orochimaru and the Hokages didn't have enough time to avoid it. But before the attack could hit, Minato quickly came forwards and used his Jikuken Kekai space-time barrier to block Naruto's attack and divert it to a location outside the village, where a large explosion could be seen from the distance outside the village. When Naruto saw this he narrowed his eyes at his attack being diverted, as he had hoped to take at least Orochimaru or the Sandaime with that attack. After diverting Naruto's attack, the Yondaime quickly then threw his space-time kunai at Naruto, where he then did 5 hand seals and cried out, "Kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu Kunai Shadow Clone Technique." After which the single space-time kunai turned into thousands of space-time kunais and were all directed at him. Shit, thought Naruto as he saw the thousands of kunai flying towards him. Reacting quickly, Naruto did a single one-handed hand seal and started to spin around and cried out, "Senpu Kaiten Whirlwind Spin." Creating a medium-sized whirlwind around himself and deflecting the kunai and scattering them around him. When the kunai were all deflected, the Yondaime then suddenly appeared next to Naruto and hit him in the side, sending him flying sideways. Before Naruto could regain himself, the Yondaime appeared again, this time behind him, and hitting him in the back. After Naruto was sent flying forward, the Yondaime disappeared and reappeared to Naruto's left, sending him flying to the right. This the continue for several minutes as the Yondaime continued to use his Hiraishin no Jutsu to teleport around Naruto, hitting him from every direction, not giving him a chance to defend himself, and whenever he tried to counterattack, the Yondaime would teleport away before he could hit him. As Naruto was being sent flying backwards from another hit from his father, he quickly realized how his father was able to teleport from so many different directions, when he saw the space-time kunais shattered along the ground around him. He realized that when his father used the kunai cage bunshin no jutsu, he intended to have Naruto block them and wanted him to deflect them and shatter them around him, allowing the Yondaime to teleport to any of them and attack Naruto from any direction. Fuck, I walked right into this one, thought Naruto as he cursed himself for being such a barker and not realizing this sooner. As soon as Naruto had realized this, the Yondaime suddenly appeared in front of Naruto, holding a Rasengan and slammed it right into Naruto's stomach, blasting him into a nearby ruined tree created by the Shodaime earlier, and making a large dent in it. Fortunately though, thanks to still being in Gamma Senin Modo, as well as to his Shinju Kokai body renewal, Naruto took little damage to the attack, and any damage he did take was quickly healed. Alright, I've had enough of being his punching bag, thought Naruto, after which he then charged both his hands with a large portion of lightning chakra and then clapped them together, crying out, Kuden Shoha, static shockwave. Causing a massive shockwave of lightning that blasted the Yondaime, who had just appeared in front of Naruto, and everything including the space-time kunais else in a 100-degree radius of Naruto away. After Naruto blasted the Yondaime away, he started to pick himself up, but before he could fully get up he was suddenly hit again with a powerful palm strike to the chin and sent through the tree that he was against with incredible force. Where when he was hit, he heard the person who hit him cry out, Enkuso, Monkey King Claw. S. As Naruto withdrew the tree he was suddenly kicked from behind and sent flying up into the air, where he then saw Sarutobi appear in the air, doing a mid-air flip and then doing a falling drop kick, crying out, Naguru no Saru, Monkey Pummel, and sending Naruto crashing to the ground. When Naruto picked himself up he found himself surrounded by 3 Sarutobis on all sides, after which the 3 Sarutobis all charged at Naruto together. Seeing this, Naruto quickly jumped up high into the air and did mid-air flip and landed outside the tree-covered area and about 80 feet away from his pervious position. Sarutobi and his 3 shadows were of course not far behind, where as soon as Naruto had jumped away from them, they followed him. Seeing them coming towards him, Naruto took out Tengu and Raijin and spun them in his hand and formed an X shape with them, and channeled as much chakra as he could into them. After which he then swung the swords and cried out, Raiden no Nami, Thunder Lightning Wave. Where 2 large blades of lightning energy were released from the blades and formed an X-shaped slash and flew towards Sarutobi and his clones. Naruto's attack quickly flew towards Sarutobi and his clones and cut right through the 2 clones with ease, where they puffed away. Sarutobi, although, was able to avoid the attack by jumping up into the air. As he fell towards Naruto, Sarutobi quickly brought his right leg up in the hope of kicking Naruto. Luckily though, Naruto blocked this kick by bringing both his swords up to block Sarutobi's attack and pushed him back, making the former Hokage do another mid-air flip so to land back on his feet. Unfortunately for him though, this gave Naruto an opening he was looking for, where he swung the Raijin and cut the Sandaime's right leg off and then spin kicked the Sandaime, sending flying several meters away. After kicking the Sandaime away, Naruto then put Tengu and the Raijin back in their places, but as soon as he did his shinobi senses suddenly kicked in, telling him to move, where as soon as he did he narrowly avoided a blob of venom that was fired at him from behind and at the back of his neck. When Naruto turned around he saw Orochimaru standing a bit away from him, with a snake that came from his mouth turned back into his tongue. At seeing the snake Sannin, Naruto narrowed his eyes, as he was getting pretty tired of him and decided he was going to finish off the annoying snake once and for all. Seeing that his sneak attack failed, Orochimaru quickly fired his Senei Tajishu, many hidden shadow snake hands, where a dozen or so snakes sprung from his selves and flew towards Naruto. As the snakes grew closer they broke apart so that they could converge on Naruto from all sides, also at the same time the snakes opened their moves to extend blades out of their mouths. Just before the snakes hit him, Naruto used his Raipo to escape from being skewered, where he then reappeared behind Orochimaru and stabbed him in the back with a kunai in the back. But as soon as he did, Orochimaru reverted into mud, where Naruto realized that Orochimaru had replaced himself with a mud clone before he was hit. It was when he realized this, that Naruto quickly spun around and blocked an incoming attack from behind, where he blocked Kusanagi's blade, which Orochimaru had extended to hit Naruto in the back, while he stood a distance away. Naruto quickly coated his kunai with his chakra so that it could withstand the hit from Kusanagi. When Naruto blocked the attack, he was forced back a bit, but quickly regained himself and held his ground. Seeing that his sneak second attack had failed also, Orochimaru recalled Kusanagi and had it return to its original form. Once Orochimaru had relented his attack and recalled Kusanagi, Naruto stopped transferring chakra to the kunai in his hand, although as soon as he did the kunai fell to pieces, showing Naruto that the Kusanagi blade was so strong. The only thing that held the kunai together was the chakra he was putting into the kunai. Soon after, Naruto's eyes returned to their normal state, revealing that his Gamma Sennin Modo had wore off, where he then fell down to one knee panting heavily with sweat falling down his forehead. Kukukukuku, it seems that you finally reached your limit, Naruto-kun, said Orochimaru with a sinister smile, and he knew he had this fight won now. His confidence grew even more when the Yondaime and the Sandaime rejoined him and fully healed. At seeing this, Okastu, Killer Bee, Yugito, Mitsuhide, Sayuri and Fu all prepared to move out and aid Naruto, as they knew that he had reached his limits, but before they could, Zhuge Liang held out his hand and stopped them and told them to wait, all the while staring at Naruto. I am sorry to say that it is indeed over, Naruto, spoke Sandaime. Leave now, Naruto, while you still have a chance. There will be no shame in doing so, for you've fought valiantly and proven yourself to be stronger than any other shinobi I've ever seen. You've even surpassed myself by defeated both the Nadaime and the Shodaime single-handedly, something I could not do. At hearing this, Naruto suddenly let out a tired chuckle as if the Sandaime had just said something funny. Ha 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 ha, you must have really gone senile in the afterlife, Sarutobi, if you think I would run away, because you should know that I never run away from fight, spoke Naruto as he stared up at Orochimaru and the two Hokages with a cold determination as he then stood up. At seeing this, Minato could only think, you're indeed your mother's son, Naruto, as Kushina was always too stubborn to simply give up on anything, although as he thought this he kept an impassive face. As soon as Naruto got back on his feet, Naruto then did a single hand seal and cried out Kage Bushin no Jutsu, and created 6 shadow clones of himself. After which the shadow clones themselves formed different had seals. The first Naruto clone cried out, Taju Kage Bushin no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone technique, and created 50 more shadow clones. The second clone then cried out, Futon, Kage Bunshin, and created 50 wind shadow clones. The third shadow used Raiten, Kage Bunshin to create lightning shadow clones. The fourth used Bunshin Daibakura to create 50 exploding clones, while the fifth used Mizu Bunshin to created 50 water clones, where they were formed from the water nearby. While the sixth and final clone used Hyoten, Kuri Bunshin Ice Release, Ice Clone, to create 50 ice clones. Upon seeing the 300 clones of Naruto, Orochimaru just smiled. Kukukukuku, still fighting with clones, I see. I guess no matter how much some things change, others will always stay the same, and it seems that you will not die simply. What was your first clue? Said Naruto coldly, after which the clone each took out of created different weapons, where some took out kunais, other took out copies of Tengu. Some others even took out copies of Raijin, while others took out copies of Naruto's wind sword. A few others even created water swords and ice swords, where once they all summoned the different weapons, Naruto had his clones charge forward and attack Orochimaru and the Hokages, while he held back. As the clones attacked Orochimaru and the Hokages, Naruto stood still, where he brought up his right hand and formed a one-handed tiger seal 3 and closed his eyes and started to focus his energy in preparation for what he was about to do next. With the observing groups, what is the Raikage doing? Surely he knows he cannot win by using clones, spoke Yamato. He isn't, the clones are only to delay Orochimaru and the Hokages and keep them busy until he's ready, answered Zhuge Liang. So does that mean he's preparing to do the Gamma Sennin Modo? Asked Kankuro. No, preparing to do something much greater than the Sennin Modo, replied Zhuge Liang, after which he turned to Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide, I want you to contact all our shinobis in sectors 12, 22, 17, 36 and 44 and order them to evacuate. Also tell them to have all Konoha defending forces in those sectors to do the same as well. Also have all our shinobis who are nearby watching this battle to fall back to a safer distance and pass the word to the Konoha, Suna and Tsuchigamo clan shinobis they're watching with them, spoke Zhuge Liang with clear seriousness and authority. Juge Liang-sama, you can't mean he actually going to use that jutsu, spoke Sayuri with clear worry in her voice, which gained all the non-new Kumo shinobi's attention. I'm afraid so, said Juge Liang. Naruto must truly be desperate if he risk actually using that technique in this village during a battle like this. Upon hearing Juge Liang's response, Mitsuhide immediately began speaking to the captains and commanders of the new Kumo forces in the sectors that Juge Liang told him and ordered them to pull out and have all Suna and Konoha forces there do the same. At this, the Konoha and Suna groups started to get worried at the way that the new Kumo group were acting about this jutsu that Naruto planned of using. Man, this serious no doubt, spoke Killer Bee. Wait, what are you guys all talking about? What is Ni-san doing? Asked Konohama, as like the other non-new Kumo members he didn't understand what Juge Liang and the others were so worried about. Ignoring Konohamaru's question, Fu turned and spoke to Juge Liang. I suggest we relocate to the ground and place a protection barrier around ourselves, as the shockwave from the attack will most likely destroy many of the nearby buildings. Agreed, spoke Juge Liang. Wait, Juge Liang, what are you all talking about? What is this jutsu that Naruto is going to use? And what do you mean a shockwave will most likely destroy the nearby buildings? Also, why are you having all yours and our shinobis clear out of the areas that are directly behind Orochimaru and the Hokages? Asked Tsunade, as none of this sounded good to her. I'm afraid that I cannot explain here as we have very little time to get ready, replied Juge Liang. Then I suggest that you do not waste any more time than is needed to explain it to us, Juge Liang-san, as none of us here will leave this rooftop, nor will we let any of you leave, till you explain to us what is happening, spoke Gaara, as like everyone else, he wanted answers. At this, Juge Liang sighed, as he knew that this was not the time for arguing or fighting, as they needed to get ready for what was to happen next. Very well then, but I will have to be brief as possible as we have little time. The others nodded in agreement and signaled for him to go on and explain. The jutsu that we're referring to is called Inazuma Lightning Flash U. Inazuma. What is that? Asked Temari. It is a special lightning technique that Naruto developed and created, and is probably the fastest and most devastating lightning jutsu ever created, more powerful than even Reimu Reito Limelight. The technique is so powerful that it is ranked as a double S rank forbidden jutsu, said Juge Liang. When Juge Liang said this, to say the group was shocked would be like saying that the ocean was only slightly blue, as they were completely blown away by this. Since Reimu Reito was the strongest no lightning techniques in the shinobi world, as it had the power to destroy an entire shinobi village. Not to mention the fact that Juge Liang said the Inazuma was a double S rank jutsu, as jutsu of that caliber were thought to only exist in legends, as no one had ever seen or created a technique of that level in over 100 years or more. You understand, Juge Liang-sama, if we find this information hard to accept, as a jutsu of that caliber is virtually unheard of, spoke Shino. Believe me, Shino-san, what I say is the truth, as I have seen Naruto use it with my own eyes, twice in fact. The first was at the Battle of Mikitagahara, or as most people today call it today, the Battle of the Storm during the Civil War. During that battle, Naruto used it when he was facing against both Killer Bee and Yugito alone in battle, while the rebel forces fought the combined forces of the former Godime Raikage and the former Daimyo Yoshiaki. During that battle, Naruto used the Inazuma to defeat Killer Bee and Yugito, when they were in their full Jinchuriki forms, as well as at the same time wiping out over 3,000 warriors belonging to the enemy forces, spoke Juge Liang. Upon hearing this, both the Konoha and Suna groups were shocked beyond words, where Juge Liang then continued on. The second time was at the final battle of the Civil War at Kumo village itself, where Jiraiya-san can attest to the destructive power of the Inazuma, as you saw the damage done to the village, said Juge Liang. At this, a stunned look of disbelief appeared on Jiraiya's face. You're saying that Naruto's Inazuma destroyed the original Kumo village? Yes and no, replied Juge Liang, where he got several confused looks from the Konoha and Suna groups and continued. Most of the damage that was done to Kumo was done by the shockwave of the Inazuma, as if the village had been the target of the attack, there would be no trace of it left other than a large crater. The original target of the Inazuma was the Raikage's tower, which, as you know, was built into the mountain that the village was next to it. Once Juge Liang had finished, Yugito then spoke up. Naruto also used this jutsu in his battle against Hiden and Kakazu, when he was rescuing me from them. He used the jutsu to completely vaporize Hiden as well as destroy the entire valley that he was battling them in. At hearing this, virtually everyone went pale white and wide-eyed with disbelief and some fear, as they could hardly believe that there was actually a jutsu that was strong enough to vaporize a man, who was virtually immortal and was unkillable, as well as powerful enough to destroy a whole village and vaporize an entire mountain in one go. Many even became more fearful at the fact that Naruto was going to use said jutsu in the village. Impossible, spoke Kakashi, how could such a jutsu even exist? It's unfeasible. If it really wasn't possible, would we be acting the way we're now and ordering both our force and your forces to get out of the way? Beside, why would we lie? There would be no point in lying, as he's doing it right now in front of us, spoke Yugito with annoyance, at which Kakashi could not answer as what she said was true. Then we've to stop him. If he uses it, he could destroy the village, spoke Tsunade. It's too late. Once Naruto began the jutsu, it cannot be stopped, unless you want all the energy that he's gathering to be unleashed down on all of us, as at least with Naruto using it and releasing it, he'll be in control of it and it'll be focused, but without him then everyone and everything within this village will be destroyed. After hearing all this, the Konoha and Suna groups were ready to do whatever Zhuge Liang and the other new Kumo shinobis wanted them to do, where they quickly jumped down from the rooftop thereon and onto the ground. After which Zhuge Liang quickly formed a large protective barrier around them that would protect them from the shockwave of Naruto's attack. Once the barrier was up, the large group of observers watched Naruto in silence, as he prepared to do his Inazuma. As they watched, they noticed that Naruto was now moving both his arms around in circular motions, where lightning was emanating from his two forward fingertips, that were pointed out, and the movement that Naruto was doing was similar to the way he would move when he was about to use his Byakurai white lightning. Although he did it at much slower pace, with more motions where he leaned from one side to the other, as he did the circular motions, as if he was swaying. What is Naruto-kun doing? Hinata asked Zhuge Liang. He's gathering his reaming chakra and having it flow throughout his body and preparing it for the jutsu, as well as at the same time controlling the storm above and gather all the remaining energy that is in it, answered Zhuge Liang. Gathering it for what? How exactly does Naruto's jutsu work? Asked Tenten. Inazuma is an extremely powerful, one-shot lightning technique that Naruto created. He developed from his knowledge of the workings of his Byakurai, where I'm certain many of you have surely noticed how similar the movements are to it, in certain ways, spoke Zhuge Liang, and getting nods from the others, where he then continued. Naruto uses his Ranbaka to gather and draw in the lightning directly from thunder clouds, not just some of it, all of it, so to supple the power of his attack. When Naruto has gathered all of the lightning into one spot above him, he then draws all the lightning energy of the storm into his body. Normally this would be impossible, as having so much power running through your body would destroy it, but thanks to Naruto's other blood limit, the Shinju Kokai body renewal, his body is able to withstand that much power running through his body, but only for a short time, before it becomes too much for his bloodline to heal. Once Naruto has finished drawing in all the lightning, he would then focus it all into his fingertips and release it in one massive concentrated blast that he controls with chakra. Also, like Naruto's Raiten Tenbatsu, due to the technique using natural lightning, it is much faster than any normal lightning jutsu, as it travels at 1/1000th of a second. Hence, if you combine that with the width and extent of the blast, which is quite wide, it is virtually impossible to avoid it and even more impossible to block it, as it will incinerate anything that it hits or is in its way, said Zhuge Liang. Upon hearing this, none of the others knew what to think, as what Zhuge Liang was describing was something unbelievable yet terrifying at the same time. With Naruto, Orochimaru and the Hokages. After he had gathered all the lightning in the clouds above him, Naruto then raised his right hand with his two forward fingers up into the air and drew in the natural lightning, which descended down from the thunderclouds in a massive lightning bolt. For several seconds, those watching the battle watched with complete awe as they saw Naruto take in the massive lightning bolt into his body. Once the lightning had been absorbed into his body, Naruto then started to move his arms in the same circular motions he had been doing earlier, so to keep that natural lightning in his body circulating, and to give his body time to control the natural lightning. As Naruto was doing this, Orochimaru and the Hokages were still fighting with Naruto's clones. The battle, of course, had not been as easy as Orochimaru had thought, since Naruto's clones fought in teams and not as individuals, making the battle that much harder, where if one group attacked, another group would defend, and if one group gave long-range support by firing jutsus or throwing weapons, another group would go in close range with the Raijins, Tengu's copies and other weapons. Another reason for their hard time was also because the clones were mixed up well, where Orochimaru and the Hokages couldn't tell what type of clone they would hit. Where it could be a shadow or an exploding clone or a lightning or wind clone, where when they destroyed them, they didn't know if they would explode, turn into lightning, wind or simply shatter into ice or puff away. Hence they received many injuries, and by the time Naruto was about to absorb the natural lightning, about half the clones were destroyed, and Orochimaru had several injuries around his body and was still fighting with the rest of the clones with the Hokages. When Orochimaru saw Naruto being hit by the massive lightning bolt and taking in the natural lightning into his body, he knew that Naruto was preparing a powerful jutsu, where he also knew as well, that he needed to stop Naruto before he used it. Unfortunately though for Orochimaru, the Naruto clones would not let him, where one exploding clone suddenly appeared in front of Orochimaru and exploded, giving the snake Sannin several serious burns on his body as he narrowly avoided it, but was still blasted back several feet away. Soon after Naruto was ready to perform the Inazuma, he allowed some of the natural lightning to emanate from his body, where he then stretched his arm out with his two front fingers forward and prepared to fire it, while at the same time, channeled large amount of his chakra that he had spare, to his feet to keep him from being blasted back by the backlash of his attack. When Orochimaru saw that Naruto was almost ready to unleash his attack, he quickly bit his finger and spread some of his blood on two seals on his arms and then cried out Kuchios, Sanju Rashomon summoning, triple Rashomon, and summoned his strongest defense, the triple Rashomon. But even still Orochimaru had a feeling that this still wouldn't be enough, where a few seconds later he heard Naruto roar out, Inazuma. As soon as Naruto roared this, a gigantic beam blast of electric energy exploded from Naruto's fingertips, pushing him back several feet and tearing up the earth a bit. The light from the blast was so intense that those watching Naruto along with everyone else watching or nearby had to cover their eyes to keep from going blind. Along with that, the shockwave from the Inazuma being fired was so great that all the buildings that were directly behind Naruto were blown apart. Debris began to fly everywhere, where many large pieces of rubble and earth were sent flying right into the barrier that Zhuge Liang created. It go so bad that the force of the shockwave was putting a strain for even Zhuge Liang to maintain the barrier, where he had to get Mitsuhide and Sayuri to help him. 4. As the beam blast headed for the triple Rashomon, it quickly enveloped the three gates, and as the Sandaime, who was being held by several Naruto clones, saw the attack coming at him, he knew he could not avoid it, as the beam blast was coming in too fast and was too wide to even try and avoid, hence he was finished. But before he and the clones were enveloped in the bright light of the Inazuma just like the triple Rashomon, the Sandaime could not help but smile, well done my boy. Almost immediately after the attack, there was a massive explosion outside the village, and although no one could see the explosion due to the brightness of Naruto's Inazuma, they could still feel and hear it with the observing groups. Soon enough after the Inazuma ended, the shockwave ended as well, after which the bright light faded, and everyone's visions became clear again, where Zhuge Liang then let down his barrier. But when he did and everyone's vision became clear again, no one could believe what they saw in the aftermath of Naruto's Inazuma, or to be more precise, no one wanted to believe what they were seeing. For what they saw filled everyone with a terrifying awe, as everything directly in front of Naruto had been wiped out, everything, Orochimaru, the triple Rashomon, the Yondaime, the Sandaime, Naruto's clones, along with everything that was directly behind them, was gone. All that was left was a clear 100-foot wide path of destruction, with not so much as a ruined building left. A large section of the village outer wall had also been vaporized, along with all the trees outside the village, creating a straight mile-long cleared path, which ended at a massive crater in the middle of the forest and was the size of a mountain range and currently had a giant mushroom-shaped cloud over it, indicating where the blast ended. 5. My God, said a stunned Jiraiya, as he started at the aftermath of Naruto Inazuma. Unbelievable, spoke Neji with disbelief, as he tried to rationalize and understand what he was seeing. And to think, that is only about half its true power, said Yugito. That was only half, cried Ino with disbelief, while the others looked at Yugito as if she was insane. Yes, spoke Fu, the power that Naruto used came from the storm itself, and since the storm has been going on since we arrived here, and since the Raikage had used some of its power earlier on, the attack was only at half strength. If the Raikage had used the Inazuma when he first created the storm, and when the storm itself was a full power, he could destroy this entire village along with your Hokage monument in one single blast. Ho, how can anyone be BBTT that powerful? Said a shocked Hanabi, as she and nearly everyone else were on the verge of having panic attacks, at hearing how powerful Naruto Inazuma really was. It's impossible, said Kakashi with wide eyes as he looked at the destruction caused by the Inazuma, while his mind was telling him what he was seeing it wasn't possible, yet he was seeing it with his own eye, his visible one. You. Unreal, said Kiba. No way, said a disbelieving Tsunade, as she had never seen anything like this in her entire life. Naruto, see, can this be really you? Thought Shizune. Ni-san. Thought Konohamaru in awe. Boss. Thought Mogi and Udon together with utter shock. Incredible, spoke Hiashi, as he had never seen anything close to this, in all his years. Naruto-kun, thought Hinata with disbelief, at what Naruto had just done. What a jutsu, spoke Sai suddenly, as even he couldn't mask his surprise at the sight. So this is your true power, Uzumaki-san, thought a stunned and wide-eyed Gaara, while his siblings just gaped at the sight. Naruto, spoke Sakura, with a combination of awe and some fear. No matter how many times I see that jutsu, it never ceases to fill me with awe and terror, spoke Zhuge-Liang, as in a way it made him think that he was seeing the world ending. No joke, it's out of sight, no maybe about it, just thinking about it give me the chills, spoke Killer Bee, as he remembered how he was nearly killed, when Naruto used that technique when he and Yugito battled him. For once I agree, spoke Yugito, since she didn't blame for Killer Bee feeling this way, as she remembered that day as well, as it was the first time he came close to dying. Naruto, spoke Sasuke, with a combination of awe, anger and even fear, at seeing Naruto's Inazuma, as he could not believe the power of Naruto's Inazuma, as it made his strongest attack Kirin look like a joke in comparison. As Naruto's Inazuma was almost divine-like, as if the heavens themselves gave him their power to destroy Orochimaru. It's not fair, thought Sasuke, why were you, a know-nothing talentless bastard offspring of the Yondaime, given such power, while I, the last of the Uchiha clan, the strongest shinobi clan in the world, the founders of Konoha have nothing. What is it that allows you to gain such power? What do you have that I don't? I'm an Avenger, I need power to kill him, and avenge my clan, yet you've it all, everything I need to do it and you don't even deserve it. You don't know what it like to have a family, a mother, a father, a home, a clan and then have it all taken away from you, by your own brother, the person you'd admire most in the world. The person you wanted to be like more than anything else in the world, and to one day surpass. You don't know what it's like to hate, truly hate someone with every fiber of you being and soul like I do, so why the hell do you've all this power, why is it you? With Naruto, after using the Inazuma, Naruto's body collapsed, where he fell to his knees, and then started panting more heavily than he ever had before, and sweat fell from his forehead. Naruto of course knew this would happen, as the Inazuma was a one-shot jutsu, where he could only use it once a battle. This was not only because he used all the electrical energy of the storm, but also because of the after effects of using it. Since after having that much electrical power running through your body even for short period, can do untold amount of damage to one's body, where without his healing bloodline, Naruto was certain he would be dead. But even with his bloodline there was only so much it could do, hence he needed to give his body time to heal, for after using Inazuma, Naruto's becomes helpless. Where his body needs time to heal the damage done from having all that natural lightning in it and rest for a few moments, hence if he were attacked right now there wouldn't be a thing he could do to stop or avoid it. There was also the fact that he was nearly out of chakra as well, as it took an enormous amount of chakra to control all that power and keep it from going out of control, not to mention as well, that he used a lot of chakra to keep himself from being blown away by his own attack. Soon enough though, Naruto was able to move again and lifted himself up and start to walk, but he was far from perfect, as he was on his last legs. After letting a tired sigh, Naruto was about to walk over to his subordinates and talk to them, but before he could, he suddenly sensed something not far away from him. Naruto then stretched out his senses, to find out what it was, where as soon as he did realized what it was he narrowed his eyes with annoyance. He then quickly charged up his Raipo, which thankfully used next to no chakra at all, and used it to go to where he sensed his target. With the observing group. Well, it looks like it's finally over, spoke Yugito with a smile, as nothing could have survived that attack. Agreed, Orochimaru and the Hokages are gone, hopeful the Hokages can finally find peace, said Okatsu. Yay, Although I don't think Naruto would wish the Yondaime to find any peace, considering how he feels towards him, replied Yugito, where Okatsu just nodded. Way to go Naruto ni-san! Cried Konohamaru, as he was utterly blown away by Naruto's power. I didn't think the brat could actually do it, but he did. Spoke Jiraiya with a smile of pride for his godson. Yea well Naruto always did have a knack for beating the odds and doing the impossible, replied Tsunade with her own smile. You certainly have become strong Naruto, stronger than anyone that I have ever seen or heard of, thought Kakashi amazement. You're amazing Naruto-kun, said Hinata quietly, as she looked over to Naruto and smiled before she gasped with worry when she saw Naruto fall to his knees. What's wrong with Naruto-kun? Spoke Hinata with clear concern for him. At this everyone stopped talking and looked at Naruto, who was on his knees panting. I was afraid of this, spoke Zhuge Liang suddenly. What do you mean? Asked Tsunade as she turned to Zhuge Liang. I'm afraid that Naruto is completely exhausted, as you can image the stress that a jutsu of that caliber does to its wielder's body, even one like Naruto's, not to mention the amount of chakra it takes to control that much power. At hearing this, most of the others nodded their heads in understanding, as jutsu of that kind of destructive caliber always came at some kind of price, so it wasn't surprising that Naruto was wore out. Soon enough though, Naruto got back to his feet, although was a bit wobbly, where he was then about to come over to them, but after only taking a few steps towards them he suddenly stopped and stared a bit away from where he fired his Inazuma, after which he then disappeared in a black flash. 6. Wait, where is Naruto-kun going? Asked Lee, with confusion. At seeing this Zhuge Liang narrowed his eyes, he sensed something, after which he turned to Sayuri. Sayuri-san, do you sense what Naruto sense? Immediately Sayuri used her sensory skills to locate what Naruto sensed, quickly enough though she found what Naruto sensed, although it was faint, which was why she hadn't sensed it sooner. When she realized who she was sensing, she narrowed her eyes. I don't believe it, he's still alive, spoke the former Kiri Kunoiki. Who is it? Is it one of the Hokages? Asked Tenten. Before Sayuri could answer Tenten's question, Naruto reappeared a bit away from the cleared path created by the Inazuma, and over the person he and Sayuri sensed. When the groups looked, they saw Naruto standing over a person lying on the ground, unable to move. When the group looked closer they realized who it was. Orochimaru, spoke Mitsuhide, as he narrowed his eyes with annoyance. Impossible, there's no possible way he could have survived the Inazuma, let alone avoid it, spoke Fu with clear surprise. Well seemly he did, spoke Zhuge Liang, simply as he narrowed his eyes further towards the snake Sannon. But how? Spoke Okatsu. Trust me, if you've known Orochimaru as long as we have, you'd know that Orochimaru is as slippery as they come, and has a real knack at finding ways to surviving even the most hazardous of situations. Hence if there is a way to survive something, he'll find it, spoke Jiraiya as he stared at his former comrade with a deep frown. Damn bastard is harder to kill than that Akatsuki bastard hidden, as he simply won't just die, growled out Yugito with annoyance. With Naruto and Orochimaru currently lying flat on his stomach on the ground was the former White Snake of Konoha, who right now was as weak as a newborn baby. Next to him was a former body of himself that was nearly unrecognizable, where most of its body had been vaporized by Naruto's Inazuma. All that was left of his pervious body was half a face, 2/3 of his chest and his left arm, and even then those remaining parts were covered in severe burns. Orochimaru had used up the last of his remaining chakra to shed his pervious body and regurgitate a new body from his mouth. Orochimaru had only survived Naruto's attack by listening to his instincts, where he somehow knew that his triple Rashomon would not defend him from Naruto's attack. Just before Naruto unleashed his attack, Orochimaru had the Sandaime propel him up into the air in the hopes of avoiding the attack. But some of the Naruto's clones had propelled some of the other clones into the sky after Orochimaru, where they then grabbed hold of him and slowed him down and kept him from avoiding the attack. When Orochimaru saw this, he knew that he would not escape this way, so he quickly extended his neck upwards and regurgitated a new body of himself and used his pervious self as a springboard to shot further up. Sadly though for him that was not enough to avoid the attack completely, as he was still partially caught in the beam blast, which was how he lost most of his body and the remaining part was so badly burned. After which he was blasted away to his current location by the shockwave. As Orochimaru lay on the ground, he was going over in his head what had just happened moments ago. What the hell was that jutsu? I've never seen anything like it before. Where on earth did that brat learn such a technique? Was it from the library of Benzaiten? Thought Orochimaru. As Naruto in Azuma was beyond any jutsu he ever seen in his entire life, anything that came close to what he had seen was the chakra blast that a fully formed Jinchuriki could do, but he knew that was not the case with Naruto. Since Naruto had somehow gathered all the natural lightning energy of the storm, and used the lightning to create that beam blast, plus he didn't sense any of the Kyuubi chakra in it or when Naruto was preparing it. As Orochimaru tried to figure out how Naruto did it, Naruto himself appeared standing over him, surprising the Snake Sannin at his sudden appearance, where before he could fully get over it Naruto kicked him in the side and sending him back several feet and onto his back. Naruto then slowly walked towards the former Sannin and then drew out Tengu from behind his back, intending to finish Orochimaru once and for all. As Naruto raised Tengu, Orochimaru stared into Naruto's cold emotionless blue eyes and for the first time in many years he felt fear that he had not felt, since he fought the Sandaime and he saw the Shinigami, as it was pulling out his soul. This type of fear was the fear of death, and was one of the main things that drove him to develop his Fushi Tensei, living corpse reincarnation. As he continued to stare at him, a part of him still could not believe this was the same talentless brat that he met at the Forbidden Forest all those years ago and couldn't believe he became this powerful. "You're no boy, you're a demon," cried Orochimaru with fear. "TSK, tell me something I haven't heard before," replied Naruto coldly. Orochimaru then tried to crawl away, but before he could, Naruto stood on his leg stopping him, after which Naruto turned around to look back at Naruto and cried, "No, no, no. I cannot die, I will not die, I am Orochimaru, I will not die to the likes of you, I am immortally, I am destined to learn and master all of the world's jutsu, I refuse to die. Cry out all you want Orochimaru, this is where you end, and it has been a long time coming, goodbye Orochimaru, send my regards to the god I'm Raikage and everyone else in hell," spoke Naruto, as he swung his sword down on Orochimaru aiming to sever his head from his body. But before he could, he was suddenly stopped by a hand that grabbed his wrist and stopped him in mid-swing, before Naruto could turn around and see who had stopped him. He was hit in the side of his head and sent flying sides for a few feet, until he did a mid-air flip and landed back on his feet and looked up to who had interfered with his killing of Orochimaru. When Naruto looked up he saw that it was his father the Yondaime Hokage who was now standing between him, Naruto, and Orochimaru. When Naruto saw that his father was still alive, in a way, he narrowed his eyes in anger, and spoke angrily, "Damn you, can't you just die already and be done of it?" After which Naruto then put away Tengu as it didn't have much power left and wouldn't be able to help him, where he then fell into a fighting stance and prepared to fight the Yondaime in taijutsu. With the observing groups. The Yondaime. "But how?" spoke Okatsu with clear surprise. "He should have been vaporized by the Inazuma, there's no way he could have avoided it." "You shouldn't be surprised, as the Yondaime Hokage is the only man I know who could avoid Naruto's Inazuma without receiving any injury." At this Okatsu got a slight confused look on her face, until she suddenly realized what Zhuge meant. "The Hiraishin no Jutsu," spoke Okatsu with surprise. "Indeed, it is the only technique that I know of that can allow anyone to completely avoid Naruto's Inazuma unscathed. Truly the Yondaime Hokage is the worst possible opponent for Naruto face when he isn't at 100%, spoke Zhuge. Were just luckily that Naruto clones kept the Yondaime from using his time-space barrier and redirecting his Inazuma away. Where Naruto would have been completely helpless after using it and would have been easy prey for Orochimaru. Then we've no other choice we've to help him, spoke Yugito as she, Killer Bee, Fu and Okatsu prepared to go help Naruto. But before they could, Zhuge suddenly cried out, "Wait!" stopping Naruto's bodyguards from going to help him. "All of you are to stay here and not interfere," spoke Zhuge. "What?" cried all three female members of Naruto's bodyguards. "You heard me," replied Zhuge. "Zhuge, you can't be serious," cried Fu. "I am, and you're all to stay here, and that is a direct order," as with Naruto giving battle with the Yondaime and with Anasu elsewhere, as Prime Minister of Kaminari no Kuni, Lightning Country, and head of the Council of New Kumo. As well as advisor to both the daimyo and Naruto, I have seniority over all of you and have overall command, spoke Zhuge sternly. "To hell with orders and to hell with you." cried Yugito, as she was about go over, along Fu and Okatsu who were about to join her, but before she and the others could go Juge suddenly spoke out in a dangerous and dark authoritative voice that would make even the most senior and veteran shinobi obey. You will do what I say. When Zhuge Liang spoke like this the three women froze, where everyone then saw a dark authoritative aura surround Zhuge Liang and stare at the three women with a dangerous and piercing look in his eyes. Holy cow, I beginning to see what Ero Sennin and grammar we're talking about. Thought Konohamaru, as he looked at Zhuge Liang and was seriously unnerved by him. Most of the other non-new Kumo groups were also of equal mind, where the younger members were beginning to see why people called Zhuge Liang the Namoriru, sleeping dragon, and why he was so feared and revered. After Zhuge Liang ordered Yugito, Okatsu and Fu to not interfere, the three young women went into a staring match between the legendary Ronin ninja, where after a minute or so the girls relented, and obeyed. At this the aura around Zhuge Liang died down and the look in his eyes softened. Thank you, I know it's hard, but please trust me and in Naruto, said Zhuge Liang, before he then turned to Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide contact, Suafon-san, Ru-san, Masato-san, Yoruichi-san and Kai Wengi and have them come to this location. Upon hearing this Mitsuhide nodded and began to contact the people in question on his radio around his neck. As Mitsuhide did this, Zhuge Liang looked back at Naruto. Now that you've been backed into a corner, will you use it or not? With Orochimaru. After the Yondaime had saved him from being killed by Naruto, Orochimaru was able to somehow crawl away to one of the ruined walls of a destroyed building, as he was too weak to even stand up let alone walk. Fortunately though for him, everyone was too focused on Naruto preparing to fight his father to pay any attention to him, hence he was able to hide without anyone noticing him. Soon after hiding behind the wall, Kabuto had suddenly appeared next to him with several cuts and bruises that were only now healing, as he had been not too far the beam blast of the Naruto's in Azuma and had been caught in the shockwave of the attack, where he was blown away by it. And although he was greatly injured from being blown away by the powerful shockwave, some good had come out of it, where the paralyzing seal that Naruto placed on him was blown off him and allowed him to move again. Are you alright, Orochimaru-sama? Asked Kabuto. Do I look alright, Kabuto? Hissed Orochimaru angrily at his subordinate. We need to leave here now, while we still can, hissed the snake Sannin angrily, as his whole body was aching and paining from battling with Naruto. But what about Naruto? Asked Kabuto. Surely in his weakened stated we can kill him, with the Yondaime's help. No, cried Orochimaru, I will not underestimate that boy any more than I already have, as it is still very likely that he could defeat the Yondaime, even if he has been greatly weakened by that jutsu he used. But how? Asked Kabuto. I do not know, but I am not willing to take the chance. Besides, even if we do defeat him, his Jinchuriki bodyguards, along with Zhuge Liang, Mitsuhide, Su and Jiraiya, the Kazekage and all the others watching over there, will intervene and stop us. Before we could kill him and we would have no chance of escaping, let alone defeating all of them by ourselves, spoke the former Sannin. At this Kabuto could only nod his head in agreement, as he wasn't eager at going another round against Mitsuhide, nor was he eager to go against the famed Namoriru, hence retreat was the best and only option left, as those who fight and run away live to fight another day. Quickly Kabuto then lifted his master up onto his back, and then carried him off. As Orochimaru was being carried off by Kabuto, Orochimaru turned his head back slightly to look back at Naruto, who was still facing off against his father and had yet to start fighting with him. As he looked back, Orochimaru silently swore he would make Naruto pay for interfering and ruining his plans yet again. With Naruto. As Naruto stared against his resurrected father, he was trying to think of different ways that he could defeat him, as he knew that he was on his last legs and didn't have much energy to fight for much long. He knew if he wanted to win, he had to fight smart, as he didn't have the energy to use one of his high-level techniques to destroy the Yondaime like he did with the others. Damn, not good, what the hell am I going to do? I used Inazuma for the sole purpose of taking out all three of them in one go, but all I got was Sarutobi. After all the energy I used to do Inazuma, it wasn't close to being worth it, thought Naruto angrily. But before he could think more on the situation that was in, the Yondaime suddenly disappeared and reappeared directly behind him with his space-time kunai at his neck. Naruto expected his, but due to the lightning disrupting his reflexes along with slowing him down, he could not react fast enough to replace himself or use his Raipo to move out of the way. I'm sorry, Naruto, spoke the Yondaime sorrowfully, as he then slit his son's throat with his kunai. Upon seeing them, Hinata, Sakura, Tsunade, Jiraiya and Konohamaru along with most of the Konoha and Suna groups cried out in horror and cried Naruto's name out. But just as the Yondaime had done the deed and had let Naruto fall to the ground and bleed out on the ground, he was suddenly hit in the stomach, and before he could even figure out what had just happened, he was suddenly kicked in the side of the head, sending him crashing into a ruined wall a couple of feet away. When the Yondaime picked himself up, he saw Naruto standing panting slightly with some sweat, but alive with his wound healed. "You're alive, but how?" asked the Yondaime with clear surprise. "My second bloodline," replied Naruto simply. "You have another bloodline," spoke the Yondaime with wonderment at hearing that his son had a second bloodline. "Yes, my Shinju Kokai, it allows me to survive any otherwise normally fatal damage and instantly heal from the damage, for example my throat being slit. It also allows me to be extraordinarily resistant to diseases, drugs, and toxins, where they're virtually useless against me, as I would recover from them quickly enough." "I see, a highly useful ability. I am glad," spoke the Yondaime, as he was indeed happy that he had not killed his son and that he was still alive, regardless of how Naruto felt towards him. After saying this, the Yondaime quickly took out several space-time kunais and threw them in different directions and used kunai cage bunshin no jutsu to multiple the kunais. "Crap," thought Naruto, as he knew that this wouldn't be easy, after which the Yondaime disappeared in a flash, where Naruto quickly did the same. For the next few minutes, all those that were watching the battle between father and son, although the most any could see were yellow and black flashes going from one direction to the next all along the battlefield, not staying long enough for anyone to get a good look at what was happening. Even Kakashi's and Sasuke's Sharingans couldn't keep up with what was happening, as like the other they could only see flashes. As Naruto ducked under and left jab from the Yondaime, he quickly kicked him away and threw out several kunais and threw them at the Yondaime, who quickly took out some of his own kunais and threw them at Naruto's kunais, hitting them dead on with pinpoint precision. But as soon as he had deflected Naruto's kunais, a dozen or so shurikens flew past the kunais and slashed up the Yondaime. When this happened, Minato quickly realized that Naruto had used Kage Shuriken no Jutsu, Shadow Shuriken technique, where he used the kunais as a distraction and had the shurikens hid behind the kunais, so that when the kunais were deflected, the shurikens fly past uninterrupted. "Clever move, Naruto, you are indeed quite good at thinking on your feet," thought the Yondaime before he was kicked from behind by Naruto, who suddenly appeared in a flash by using Raipo. The Yondaime although quickly recovered and used his Hiraishin no Jutsu to teleport himself to Naruto's side and hit him, after which he then took out another space-time kunai and charged at Naruto, who quickly recovered from his hit and took out another kunai himself and charged at Minato. The two then engaged in a fierce battle with their kunais, where they blocked or dodged each other's attack, with expert skill and few cuts. Eventually though, the Yondaime got the upper hand, where he was able to knock Naruto's kunai out of his hand, although at the same time Naruto was able to kick the Yondaime's kunai out of his. Upon which, Naruto then engaged his father in fierce taijutsu for the next few minutes. But unfortunately the effects of fighting for so long and hard and for using so many high-level jutsus, especially the Inazuma, had taken its toll on Naruto, where Naruto's body was too exhausted to move the way he wanted to, giving the Yondaime the upper hand. Where the Yondaime then saw an opening in Naruto's defense and punched him in the stomach, making Naruto spit out some blood. After which the Yondaime spin kicked Naruto to the side of the head, sending his only son skipping across the ground several meters away, and making him eat the dirt as he lay on the ground. With the observing groups. "That does it," cried Yugito, as Shiokatsu and Fu prepared to move out, along with Suafon, who appeared with her former sensei and the others a few minutes ago. But before they could take 5 steps forward, they were stopped by a barrier that appeared in front of them. "Zhuge Liang," cried Yugito, angry as she was now about ready to kill her husband's former sensei. "Wait," said Zhuge Liang, where he then pointed to Naruto, who was now getting up. With Naruto and the Yondaime. As Naruto slowly picked himself up, the Yondaime spoke up as he slowly walked closer to his son. "It over, Naruto, you've no strength left, you used up all of your remaining chakra when you used that last attack. But no, I am proud of you, as you've become stronger than I ever thought possible and have surpassed me in every way possible, and you did it your way." At this, Naruto just spat out some blood that was in his mouth and stared back at his father. "TSK, you talking as if you've already won this battle? Well, I'm sorry to say that this fight isn't done yet. You can stop acting tough, Naruto, there's no point, you've no power left. you can barely stand let alone continue fighting me, said the Yondaime. At this a cocky-looking smirk appeared on Naruto's face. I really didn't want to resort to using this, as I hate using its power, but I guess I've no other choice, said Naruto, before he stared directly at his father in the eyes, causing him to stop dead as Naruto's eyes had changed. You said that I've no more power, but you forget I've a hidden ace in the hole and it's one you gave me, spoke Naruto, whose pupils had become silted, and his irises changed from blue clear blue to red blood red. Enter Naruto Shippuden OST anger. After which a explosion of red chakra erupted from Naruto and blasted the Yondaime away from him, where 3 red tails made out of chakra appeared behind Naruto. With the observing groups. He's using the Kyuubi chakra, stated Fu. You knew he would use it, didn't you? That's why you had us stay back, spoke Yugito as she turned to Zhuge Liang, who just nodded and then turned to the others. Ru, Suafon, Okatsu, Mitsuhide, Kai Wengi, Sayuri, Masato, Yoruichi, you all know what to do. Position yourselves in a square barrier formation around the battlefield, spoke Zhuge Liang as he took charge of the situation. Hi, replied the 8 shinobi before they disappeared to their designated positions just outside the cleared battlefield area. Is Naruto going out of control? Asked Suand. No. Naruto has complete control of the Kyuubi's power. This is just a precaution and prevent any further damage to your village and to prevent unnecessary lives being lost in the battle. He has full control of the Kyuubi's power. Asked Jiraiya in surprise. Correct, as thanks to Killer Bee-san training, Naruto was able to separate the Kyuubi's chakra from the Kyuubi itself, answered Zhuge Liang, surprising everyone. If that's true, then why did Naruto not use its power sooner? Asked Kakashi. Because Naruto doesn't like using the Kyuubi's power and prefers to rely on his own strength and power, as one of the greatest weaknesses that we Jinchurikis have is that we can become too reliant on our Bijuu's chakra, especially when we're cornered. That's why Naruto-kun tries to avoid using it as much as possible, as he prefers to use his own strength. Pulse, he doesn't like using the power of the Bijuu that caused his harsh life here, replied Yugito, as she knew how stubborn Naruto could be to certain things. Wait, if Naruto separated the Kyuubi chakra from the Kyuubi itself, then why can we feel its menacing power? Also, why is the chakra taking on the form of a fox? Asked Sakura, as like everyone else she could feel the foul, evil bloodlust of the Kyuubi's chakra coming from Naruto. Where it reminded her of when she first felt it, back on their mission in Wave on the Bridge, where they battled Zabuza and Haku, and again when they first met Orochimaru in the Forbidden Forest. But this time it was much stronger than it was then, and it was much more frightening, as she had stories from shinobis that were at the battle against the Kyuubi, yet their words did not do the feeling justice. Since her skin was practically covered in goosebumps, from the power where she could not help but shiver at the feeling as well. That is because the Kyuubi's chakra is very receptive to negative emotions, where if Naruto is feeling negative emotions like anger, then the chakra will manifest these negative emotions and take on the shape of a fox and intensifies the negative emotions. Since the Kyuubi itself is a being of destruction, hatred, chaos and malice, explained Zhuge Liang. If Naruto is feeling these negative emotions, is there still any chance that the Kyuubi will use it to try and take over Naruto? Asked Jiraiya. No, since as I said Naruto separated the chakra from the Kyuubi and sealed the Kyuubi away permanently, so it can never take control of Naruto. The chakra is only taking this form due to Naruto's lingering hatred of his father, as normally when Naruto uses the Kyuubi's chakra, he would take a different form, which is much more controlled and refined. That is why I'm having the others help me place a barrier around the battlefield, as even though Naruto still have control of the Kyuubi's power, he still might not have 100% control, where he might add too much power in an attack and do unnecessary damage, explained Zhuge Liang. As soon as Zhuge Liang finished explaining this, Mitsuhide and the others radioed into Zhuge Liang telling him that they were in position. Quickly Zhuge created a large seal on the ground and then turned to Gaara. Kazekage Denka, are you able to access your Bijuu's power? Yes, why? Asked Gaara. Because to create a barrier that is strong enough to withstand the Kyuubi's chakra along with Naruto's attacks when using it, I will need the power of other Bijuu's chakra to create it. Upon hearing this, Gaara nodded in understanding and agreed to help, where he, Killer Bee, Fu and Yugito stepped into the large seal and kneeled down in mediation stance, with Zhuge Liang sitting in the center. As Gaara and the other Jinchuriki summoned their Bijuu's chakras, they then sent it to Zhuge Liang, who in turn sent it to the seals that Mitsuhide and the others drew in their separate location around the cleared battlefield, with 4 seals at each corner of the square barrier and 4 seals at each side of it. Once the chakra reached all 4 corners and sides of the barrier, a giant yellow squared barrier formed around the cleared battlefield, where it could be seen from all around the village. When the barrier went up, it was none too soon, since as soon as it did a massive explosion of chakra erupted from Naruto as he summoned of the Kyuubi's chakra, where its menacing power could be felt by everyone in it. Those that had fought against the Kyuubi 22 years ago were having flashback of that dreadful night, when they felt it. While those who were feeling it for the first time, began to understand why the creature was so feared by all. With Naruto. As Naruto unleashed his power, a massive shockwave erupted, where it turned up the earth around the entire battlefield. Fortunately though, the barrier that was now around the clear battlefield, protected the village and those outside the barrier from the shockwave. After which Naruto's body was surrounded by a black sphere of chakra, where his body then began to be enveloped by the Kyuubi's chakra, where he then started to sprout out more tails and began to change ever further. For the next few minutes, those outside watching the battle outside the barrier could only watch as Naruto powered up, where they couldn't believe the power Naruto was unleashing. As the power he was unleashing was just as great as Naruto's own power, when he unleashed it when he faced Orochimaru and his allies. Soon enough though, there was another fierce explosion, where the black sphere around Naruto exploded, where Zhuge Liang and the others struggled to keep the barrier up due to the sheer force of the explosion, where a massive dust cloud covered the entire battlefield. Eventually though, the dust cloud dissipated, where the Yondaime could then be seen standing at the other end of the battlefield against the barrier, where he was regenerating from the injuries he suffered when Naruto was powering up. As the dust began to settle and terrifying howling roar could be heard coming from inside the barrier, all the shinobis that witnessed or fought in the Battle of the Kyuubi recognized the howling roar instantly, as it filled them with fear and dread. For the howling roar was the same sound that the Kyuubi made when it attacked their village, where its roar still haunted many of the shinobis from that battle to this very day and often woke them up at night. The roar itself was so powerful that it blew away the remainder of the dust cloud, allowing everyone to see Naruto again, although when they did many could not believe what they were seeing. Where Naruto's new form filled many of them with fear and dread, as if they were seeing a nightmare from a long ago, come to life before their eyes, where for many it was. Even the new Kumo shinobis were surprised and even fearful at Naruto's new form, for what they saw was like something out of hell. Naruto was now covered in dark crimson red chakra, where he was now about 7 feet tall and took on the shape of a cross between a man and a fox, as he stood up on his hinge legs like a man, but his body shape was shaped like a fox with 7 long tails. Also bones could be seen all around his body forming a sort of exoskeleton. They could see even the tail bones going all the way up each of the 7 tails, and were as sharp spear tips. A skull head in the shape of a fox skull could also be seen covering Naruto's head like a sort of helmet, making his appearance all the more terrifying and helping to highlight his blood-red demon-like eyes. Slowing, Naruto walked forward towards his father the Yondaime, who was staring at Naruto with a stun-like look on his face. When Naruto was about 50 feet away from the Yondaime, he suddenly spoke up in a dark voice, that sounded like as if 2 people were talking at once. "What's wrong, father? Don't like your handiwork." "Naruto, what have you become?" spoke the Yondaime in surprise. "Only what you helped me become, when you placed his curse on me and left me to the mercy of your beloved village, as this is the manifestation of my anger for you," replied Naruto angrily as she stared at the Yondaime. "I see," replied the Yondaime, as he now understood that he would have to take on all the rage and anger that his son had for him. Naruto the started things with speeding forward a tremendous speed, where he then swiped at the Yondaime with his sharpened bone claws. The Yondaime was able to avoid the attack, but was unable to avoid it completely and was still slashed at the side, although the injury quickly healed. After which Minato then stuck Naruto at the side with his fist, but as soon as Minato's fist came into contact with Naruto, his entire arm burned, where it spread like poison. "Too bad, father, whenever someone touches my skin when I'm in this form, it will burn the person's skin off and spread like poison," spoke Naruto, before he delivered a powerful punch right to the Yondaime's face and sent him flying across the clearer on the right-hand side. Naruto the extended his arm, where 100 or so smaller chakra arms erupted from it and flew towards the Yondaime. When he saw this, the Yondaime quickly used his Hiraishin no Jutsu to transport away before the chakra arms could hit him. "Not so fast. cried Naruto as he then dissipated his chakra arms and then slammed his hands to the ground, where hundreds more chakra arms exploded out of the ground all over the battlefield, attacking the Yondaime from different directions. Minato had to use his Hiraishin no Jutsu to teleport to different directs just to avoid being hit, after avoiding a near swipe from a chakra arm. Minato quickly threw one of his kunais into the air and teleported himself up to it, where he then did a few quick hand seals and raised his arm up and cried out, Raiten, Hiraishin, lightning style, flying thunder god 7, and shot out a bolt of lightning at Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto then did a powerful swipe with his claws and created a powerful tornado that nullified the Yondaime lightning. Although as soon as he did, the Yondaime appeared behind Naruto by using his Hiraishin no Jutsu and had Rasengan in his hand and slammed it right into Naruto's back. Unfortunately for Minato, all the attack did was push Naruto forwards a bit and any damage done was quickly healed. Before the Yondaime could do anything, he was suddenly impaled by all 7 of Naruto's tails, where he then lifted the Yondaime up and brought him in front of Naruto, who then had a large red Rasengan in his hand and roared out, Nanabe Rasengan, 7-tailed spiraling sphere. V. Seeing the large red Rasengan, Minato was able to use his Hiraishin no Jutsu at the last second to avoid being hit by Naruto's attack, where Naruto's Nanabe Rasengan hit the ground and exploded, causing a massive explosion and creating a large hole in the ground. End Naruto Shippuden OST Anger. Not to be deterred, Naruto then shot out a stream of red-hot fire from his mouth and sent it right at the Yondaime, who appeared at the other end of the battlefield. Minato of course avoided being hit by the fire stream by teleporting away again, although the fire stream did collide with the barrier, where the heat of the red-hot burning flames could be felt even from behind the barrier. Shit, thought Suafon, as she struggled to hold her position so to keep the barrier up, as she felt the heat of the roaring flames from the barrier. Soon after, Naruto halted the fire stream, although as soon as he did, a dozen or so Minatos appeared all around him, with their kunais out and ready to attack. Seeing this, Naruto then used the massive chakra reserves of the Kyuubi's chakra and roared out, where combined with the Kyuubi's chakra, he turned a simple roar into a powerful force of pressure and destruction that blasted away the Yondaime's shadow clones, causing them to puff away and blasting away the Yondaime himself. The blast even lifted the ground from underneath Naruto and caused a great deal of destruction in the surrounding area. When the Yondaime crashed back onto the ground after being blasted away by Naruto's sonic roar, he began to pick himself up, but just as he lifted himself up, several chakra arms appeared out of the ground and grabbed hold of him. After which a dozen or so more appeared out of the ground, although unlike the others they all held Nanabe Rasengans in them and flew towards him. Seeing the chakra arms and the Nanabe Rasengans coming at him, the Yondaime quickly replaced himself with a large piece of earth, just avoiding being blown to pieces by Naruto's attack, where a gigantic explosion erupted, putting more pressure on the barrier and on those holding it. As soon as Minato avoided Naruto's last attack, by replacing him, Naruto appeared next to his father, and started to slash at him with his claws, where a dangerous game of cat and mouse began, with the Yondaime desperately trying to avoid Naruto's slashes. After replacing himself again to avoid being hit, Minato quickly appeared a few meters away, where he quickly tied a exploding note to his kunai and threw it, after which he used kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu to multiple the kunai into thousands of kunais, all aimed at Naruto. When Naruto saw the thousands of kunais, with exploding notes on them heading for him, Naruto quickly swung his clawed hand and created a powerful sweeping wind from the air pressure of his swipe, blowing the kunais and notes away and causing a powerful explosion in the sky, covering the battlefield again with smoke. Unable to see due to the smoke of the explosion, the Yondaime looked around blindly for where he might see where Naruto may come, but as he looked around, several more chakra hands came out of the ground and wrapped themselves around him. As the smoke started to dissipate, Minato then saw Naruto gather a massive amouth of chakra at the tip of its mouth, where he then roared out, Kubiko Imari, 9-tailed fox menacing ball, and fired a massive destructive beam blast of chakra and aimed it at the Yondaime. Seeing the beam blast heading towards him, Minato immediately took out a kunai and then used his Jikuken Kekai and created a space-time barrier and diverted the attack outside the village, where a massive explosion could be heard and felt from outside the village, as the shockwave blew across the village. With the observing groups, "Shit, this battle is getting out of hand," spoke Jiraiya, as he brought his arm up to block the wind blowing into his face. "Can you handle the stress of the barrier?" Tsunade asked Zhu Liang, as she knew that even with the strength of 4 Jinchuriki, holding a barrier of that size and containing the power of the 9 strongest Bijus, wasn't easy. I will be fine, spoke Zhuge Liang as he kept his eyes closed and focus on maintaining the barrier and sending the chakra that Killer Bee, Fu, Yugito and Gaara were sending him to send to Mitsuhide and the others. But even so, it is just as well that the Yondaime diverted Naruto's attack, for I am unsure if I could have maintained the barrier had it hit it, spoke Zhuge Liang. How much longer can this battle keep going, spoke Ino out loud. I don't know, but hopefully it will end soon, as it would be really troublesome if kept going for much longer, said Shikamaru, as he stared inside the barrier as Naruto and the Yondaime continued their battle. With Naruto and the Yondaime. After he diverted Naruto's attack, the Yondaime quickly channeled his chakra into his kunai and cut the chakra arms off him. Although as soon as he did, several more chakra blasts were fired at him by Naruto, but he quickly dodged them. But as he did, a dozen more were fired at him at rapid speed, leaving him no choice but to use his Hiraishin no Jutsu to avoid the blasts. When they hit the ground, several medium-sized explosions happened, after which, when the dust settled, the Yondaime reappeared opposite Naruto, unharmed. For the next few minutes the battle raged between father and son, where the Yondaime fired a number of high-level lightning techniques and other jutsus along with throwing an array of kunais, shurikens and exploding notes. He even tried to subdue Naruto by using several sealing techniques, but all of them failed. As the Kyuubi cloak protected Naruto from harm and any injuries done were quickly healed, while the Yondaime sealing techniques were not strong enough to subdue Naruto, as he quickly overpowered them. Naruto himself wasn't having any luck. When battling his father, as any injury that he did to him, he quickly regenerated, also as well the Yondaime kept dodging and avoiding all his attacks. As he used his Hiraishin no Jutsu to avoid his attacks or replaced himself with something, leaving the battle between them a deadlock, with no real winner in sight. As the two of them stared off at each other again, Naruto let loose a rapid succession of chakra blasts, although instead of aiming them at his father he aimed them at the ground, creating a large smokescreen. When the Yondaime saw this he kept alert, as he knew that Naruto was planning some sort of sneak attack. A few seconds later several chakra arms emerged out of the ground, trying to grab hold of the Yondaime. Expecting this though, the Yondaime jumped up into the air to avoid the chakra arms. Unfortunately though for the Yondaime, this was what Naruto wanted him to do, as when he did Naruto appeared above him, where he then sent his 7 tails forward and pierced the Yondaime with them, where he then sent him into the ground, pinned him onto it. After which Naruto then pulled himself forward so that he would be standing over his father, where he then prepared to do one final technique. The technique itself was risking, as he could very well be killed doing so, but it was the only way he knew that would make certain to kill the Yondaime. Naruto then quickly stabbed the Yondaime in the gut in his stomach with his clawed hand and started to pump in an enormous amount of the Kyuubi's chakra into his father. "What are you doing, Naruto?" spoke the Yondaime, as he saw Naruto pumping the Kyuubi's chakra into his body. "Finishing this battle once and for all, with a little technique I call Daimao no Io, Embrace of the Great Demon King W, spoke Naruto as he pumped more and more of the Kyuubi's chakra into his father's body. After a minute or so Naruto pumped in nearly all of the Kyuubi's chakra that he had into the Yondaime, as he wasn't going to take any chance with the Yondaime surviving it, after which Naruto stopped pumping the chakra and roared out, "This is where it ends." Before he and the Yondaime were enveloped by a massive bright light and explosion, that enveloped the entire cleared battlefield. With the observing groups. When Naruto unleashed his Daimao no Io, Zhuge Liang cried out to Killer Bee and the others, "Quickly all of you, send me as much of your Biju's chakra that you can." After which the 4 Jinchurikis started sending as much of their Biju's chakra as they could. Zhuge Liang then sent it to the others, to strengthen the barrier so that it could withstand the explosion. When the explosion erupted, a massive bright light enveloped the inside of the barrier, where Mitsuhide, Ru, Suafon, Sayuri and the others struggled to keep it up. While everyone else who was watching covered their eyes. "Naruto-kun!" cried Hinata as she feared the worst as she saw the blast. "Naruto!" cried Sakura, and Suna together, as like Hinata they feared the worst. "Kid!" thought a worried Jiraiya, as he saw the blast. "Ni-san!" cried a fearful Konohamaru. "Boss!" cried equally fearful Udon and Mogi. "Uzumaki-san," thought Gaara. He opened his one eye, while still focusing the chakra of Shukaku to Zhuge Liang to maintain the barrier. After being enveloped in the explosion, Naruto found himself back in his normal self, wearing his tattered black shirt and pants along with his ruined boots and destroyed Anbu breastplate. As he looked around, he found himself in a brightly lit place, where it was like a void with a vast horizon of nothingness. "Where am I?" asked Naruto openly as he looked around more, hoping to find something that told him where he was. "Hello Naruto," spoke a familiar voice behind Naruto, where he instantly turned around and found his father the Yondaime behind him. "You," said Naruto harshly, as he looked at his father, in blood only as far as he concerned, after which he went for his wind sword, but found it gone along with his Raijin and Tengu. Deciding to leave the matter to where they were for later, he then quickly fell into a fighting stance, ready to continue the fight. At hearing the harshness of his son's voice towards him, a sad smile appeared on Minato's face, where he then spoke, "I guess you still hate me over what I did to you." "What do you think?" replied Naruto coldly, as he stayed in his fighting stance. At hearing this, Minato let out a sad sigh before he looked back at Naruto, where he saw that Naruto was still in his fighting stance. "You need not worry Naruto, our fight is over, as I'm no longer in Orochimaru's control, since you've won." At first Naruto did not believe him, but after seeing no hostile intentions, he went into a relaxed stance, although kept his guard up and stayed alert just in case. "So where am I? Am I dead?" asked Naruto, as he stared at his father. Upon hearing this, Minato just smiled and spoke again, "No you're not. As for this place, I suppose you could call it a place between life and death, although I doubt either of us will remain here much longer. Where you return to the living world, while I return from where I came from, as my body was vaporized by your attack." At hear this, Naruto just stared at the Yondaime with an emotionless look, as he knew that what his father meant when he said he would return from whence he came, as he would return to the stomach of the Shinigami, where to be perfectly honest Naruto didn't care. Soon enough Minato spoke again, "Naruto, I know we don't have much time, but I just want to tell you how much I'm sorry for the life I had put you through. If I had known what exactly would have happened to you I would have." But before Minato could finish what he was saying, Naruto held out his hand to stop him. "Save you apologize, Namikaze, as you and I both know that you knew that I would be most likely treated as an outcast by the village for having the Kyuubi and you still did it. Even if you didn't know how exactly the village would treat, you still are responsible for what happened to me. We also both know that even if you had known what exactly the village would do to me, you still would have done it, as you said it in your letter to me and earlier on before we fought, that you could not turn your back on the village and choice them over me. So just save your apologies, as I don't want them, and let's just leave it at the fact that I hate you and will never forgive you." After hearing this, a sad, pained look came across Minato's face, where he closed his eyes knowing what Naruto said was true, as even if he could go back and do it all over again he would do exactly the same, as he could turn his back on his people. After a minute or so, Minato then lifted his head and looked back at Naruto. "Very well Naruto, I understand how you can never forgive me, but please know that regardless of your feelings towards me, know that I still love you and always will. Also know that I am proud of how strong you've become and what you're now, as you have become a far stronger shinobi than I ever was, and you've become a far greater leader as well, where you've surpassed even my wildest expectations of you, and I wish you a long and happy life," spoke Minato with a true smile. Before Naruto could even reply to what the Yondaime said, he faded away and found himself standing in the middle of a gigantic crater, which used to be the cleared battlefield that was formed from his and in his normal form in the same state that he found himself in when he was the Void Place. Although this time he had Tengu on his back, with his wind sword handle and the Raijin on his utility belt. Other than the few burns on his body, that were quickly healing, Naruto was relatively unharmed, as the remainder of the Kyuubi's chakra that formed the Kyuubi cloak protected him from the majority of the blast. When Naruto looked down he saw the ashes of the reanimated Yondaime on the ground, where it then blew away up into the air from a calm gentle breeze. When Naruto looked up into the sky, where the ashes blew up to, he saw the sun beginning to shine through the storm clouds, as the storm clouds faded away, due to Naruto using all its energy when he did in Azuma. As the storm clouds parted, the shine of the sun grew brighter and shone down at him, after which the clear blue sky began to make an appearance. As Naruto continued to look up to the sky with an unreadable look and at the Yondaime ashes, as they blew away to the sky, he suddenly collapsed onto the ground and fell unconscious. As his body could no longer keep him up, as he was completely exhausted after battling for so long and hard and was almost completely drained of chakra. But before he fell unconscious and while he was still looking up in the sky at glowing ashes of his father, he muttered out 2 single words, "Damn you," and then blanked out. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.